in the club all restless, heart irritated resistance. I see you all alone at the distance. What an energy you're throwing me at. All I wanna do is run into you. You're scared, but I know you want me to. All I'm gonna do is rush into you. You know that I'm chasing. All I wanna do is run into you. You're scared, but I know you want me to. All I'm gonna do is come look for you, 'cause I got no patience. You got stop disappearing around, play no games, no, not this time. Drop to the floor right now, show them, baby, what you got. All I wanna do is run into you. You scared, but I know you want me to. All I'm gonna do is come look for you. I know, no patience.
My love for you has brought me out of me. Hey, 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 hey. Let's go.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It might be pitch black, but you can still see the Sky Tower and you can still see all the esports that you want throughout the week. That's right, we're back with another week of the LPL Pro ANZ Rainbow Six Siege. My name is Matt Smite-Ross. Over that way? Yeah, that way is Constantine, who's going to be joining me again for this week as well. So, Cthulhu, mate, it's good to have you back, and we're here again. We've had a pretty exciting bracket so far.
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been an absolute set of bangers of matches, and it seems that the heat is getting bigger and bigger, really.
Yeah, and you know, you couldn't ask for a better match tonight. However, we'll catch everyone up and have a look at what happened last week, because of course, we kicked things off with a pretty quick 2-0 by Team Sinister to take out Oddity, sending them down to the lower bracket, and they got it done pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty dominant showcase by Sinister through and through. I believe 7-3, 7-2 matchup, what we saw from them, and well, they just managed to close it out pretty quickly. But the second matchup that we witnessed was quite the opposite.
Yeah, that was the real one. It went back and forth, but in the end, it was Ferox to come out on top with the 2-1 victory. They had to fight really hard for it. There was some big banger plays at some points. Twent got a triple kill with a C4. I think that was on screen at some point. It was absolutely nutty. It was filled with crazy moments. I mean, if you missed last week, seriously go back and watch that series, and maybe put this one on pause so you can go back and watch it too. But of course, that was a great one. But we get to see Ferox play tonight as well as Oddity. But another recap of those matches: the 2-0 against Oddity and Ferox fighting a little harder to get to that 2-1 against Bazaar. And of course, that leaves us with a bracket that will look like this. And that means that if you have a look at the winners bracket, you can see Team Sinister coasting their way all the way to the grand finals, whereas Oddity and Ferox have both dropped games and now have to fight for that last spot in the grand final.
And this is going to be a really interesting matchup in my eyes, considering the fact that this is also a grudge match between Ferox and Oddity, considering that they already played against each other during week 4, and that resulted in 2 maps which were, I believe, went into overtime.
Yeah, so it was a 2-0 series last time they played. However, that does not tell the whole story at all. It was two overtimes, like you were saying. It was pretty close and doesn't tell the whole story at all. And so it really says that we're probably going to get the closest series we've probably had throughout the entire bracket, right? I mean, we're probably going to go to all 3 games, and even if we don't, the actual games are going to be pretty close probably, unless one team has turned up to a completely different level.
Yeah, I mean, I'm expecting both of the teams really to perform here to their fullest potential here. Ferox so far has been making quite some big performances. They managed to shut down, like we just saw, Bazaar previously as well. They managed to take out PC419. So this has been pretty much their big revenge tour throughout the lower bracket.
Yeah, and so of course we've got to get into it. Let's talk about the match, and you know, Ferox and Oddity. I mean, you say that both of these teams have fought their way to get here. Ferox has had some pretty good results. Let's not forget though that Oddity did come out on top, even if it was close last time these teams played. However, let's talk about how long ago that was, because if I bring it up, it was week 3, so that's 4 weeks since we've seen these teams play. So let's get a reminder of their rosters to see who is going to be playing tonight. So first up, we'll take a look at Team Ferox and their lineup. It's going to be Vladdy, Stick, Deptra, Oda, and Steffi. And Cthulhu, one thing I love about this team is that every single player has had their time to pop off.
Yeah, usually we have the rosters where we talk about, say, 2 to 3 maybe star players that would continuously pop off. But with Ferox, you would always end up seeing each and every one of those players have their highlight of the game, and they all phenomenal players. They have some fantastic chemistry within their roster.
Yeah, and their opponents, though, Oddity, are going to be a pretty ferocious matchup. We've also seen a lot of these guys in previous weeks too, with great performances. Angmo, Mims, Nasty, Hills, Sogs, and, you know, Primal's there if we need him as the sub. And so for these guys, I mean, maybe not the same story where all of them are popping off, you know, kind of spread out through the league, but they do have their moments.
Oh yeah, they certainly do have their moments. I mean, Angmo, Mims, Hills usually are the big people that proceed to show us some really good highlights and show us some good siege. But Nasty and Sogs do also have their own moments from here and there. So, I mean, overall, it's a really well constructed roster, and they've showcased us that they can make it this far so far, and with quite some confidence as well.
Well, just like usual, Cthulhu as well, we talk to the teams before the match to see how they're feeling. This is a pretty big match, so we definitely want to know what's going on in their minds. So first up, we talk to Ferox, and you know, this is the big one, it's bracket final, before getting into that even bigger one, the grand final. And so really, because they've already played Oddity before, it's a rematch. What are they changing?
Well, so far they've mainly just recognized the fact that they have made quite a fair bit of the mistakes during their previous matchup against this roster, and well, this is their opportunity to mend their performance, find those essentially loopholes and patch them. As well as that, just they want to prove that they deserve their spot. They are so far the one of the reigning champions within LPL series, and so this is their chance to essentially showcase that why are they the champions within here.
Yeah, well, of course, we also did talk to Oddity, and we caught up to see how they were feeling before the match as well. So similar question about the match being a rematch, how they're feeling about it, whether they're going to do anything different with their maps, maybe ban something else out. Just how are they going to make it to the grand finals?
I mean, obviously for them, they mainly so far just recognizing that they had the potential to win the previous matchup, which was Sinister and could have guaranteed themselves the grand finals, but here really they just want to close it out. This is they going into this very, very confidently, and actually for that matter both of those rosters say that. But with Oddity, they already trying to kind of look ahead into their matchup against Sinister as well, which is might be a little hint of maybe overconfidence, or maybe they just already saying kind of, hey, we counter-stratted, we've done all the homework that we could. It's just a matter of time till we get to grand final.
Yeah, I mean, they've spent the time coming up to this match and done all the preparation they can. All they can do is get in there and click heads. So it does make sense. But of course, they do have that one last step to do before they move on to the grand finals, before they can really truly think about Team Sinister. Yeah. But it is good to see that both teams kind of have their eyes on the prize ahead. They're both confident. And the only real shame about it is that only one team gets to go through. And so this series is just going to be intense from start to finish. And so with that said, we've got the maps picked and locked in now. So I want to take a look at them, Cthulhu, because coming in right now, we've got Clubhouse, Bank, and Villa. So kicking things off over on Clubhouse, which was picked by Oddity first. Mm-hmm. This actually reminds me, right, from the previous match where they played, right? It was the exact same maps, just in reverse order. So we had Villa first, Clubhouse last, but this time it's in reverse and Bank's in the middle. But last time on the matches, we never actually got the clubhouse, so we're not really going to be able to say too much about that one. But Bank was an 8-6 win to Oddity, so that one went to overtime. And then Villa was an 8-7 win in overtime to Oddity. So Oddity won both those maps, but barely. And so question is it going to look the same coming in here? And what is Clubhouse going to look like?
Look, I mean, with the Bank and Villa, I mean, both of those teams really were able to show that they're very viable on both of them. Ferox, like they stated before, they knew that they had the point advantages before when they first had the matchup against Oddity, but they weren't able to close it out. Whereas for Oddity, well, really, whenever they were winning those rounds, at least from my memory, they were making them look really, really confident. So here for Oddity, they just need to have that early pace dictatorship taken into their hands and pretty much proceed to win the rounds from there. For Ferox, for them, their main kind of objective here is if they get the points advantage, that's where they need to keep it and just lock it in.
All right, well, Cthulhu, I want you to get excited, and I want all the viewers to get excited as well, because we are about to kick off the first match of the lower bracket final, and this is going to decide our last team in the grand final. So this is an important one. We're about to get into it. We're about to kick off on the Clubhouse, and there it goes. So let's get banning on these operators. On Clubhouse, who has got to go?
Well, we already see Thatcher already banned out, so that is a big one. So Thatcher, as of recently, has been seeing more and more of the bans, especially on maps like Clubhouse, where he is extremely viable to take out not only, say, things like banded batteries and the kite charges, you can also take out those Jaeger ADSs, the Womai's magnets, and stuff like that. So interesting. Probably the main interesting thing is the fact that Maverick managed to slip through, and all of those bans so far has been much, much more closer and more of a target bans rather.
Yeah, Maverick's a real interesting one on this one, because teams seem to either just kind of 50-50 let him go through and pick him 100%, or just ban him and don't deal with it. So with Pulse and Maestro rounding out those bans, those are a little more standard, but I like to think the Pulse, it's got to be targeted just a little bit. He's annoying, sure, but that's got to be targeted at someone.
Yeah, that ensures that we will be seeing a whole lot less of that active info gathering from Pulse, as well as, well, Maestro won't be there to get any kind of bulletproof information about any of the pushes. But what is interesting is, one, on the attacking side, Maverick, straight away, Nasty already locks him in, so the Maverick trick will be very much big here. And the second of all is Mira also, which will be 6-pick here by Stick. So excellent timing there. Thank you, Stick, to talk about that, because Mira actually will shape the playstyle of this map quite substantially, considering that not only she provides you some safe space to keep an eye out and gather information on where the push is happening, she also has some real fantastic utility. I mean, her Vector, it's an absolute bullet hose, and she gets the C4s as well.
I mean, it's just really, what else could you ask for, right? I mean, you've got everything you can need. You've got all the vision. You've got even the teammates, right? You've got all the protection you need to keep those mirrors safe in the camping spots as well. You can stick ADSs everywhere. You've got Goyo to slow them down. Tons of things they can do, just all off that mirror. And so a lot of power coming out from that operator, like you said. So now let's cast our eyes on what exactly is going on here, what they're doing in the defense. So let's talk about the sites they've chosen to start off with, and how they're choosing to reinforce it.
Well, really for Ferox, it looks like, well, they already picked the Church and Arsenal room, and that is one of the more usual sites to pick as a first one, considering it's really defender-sided. You can play really heavy turtle strats, and if you manage to, say, kite trick some of those hatches, it's pretty much free real estate. But the main kind of point of interest for me here is the way where the mirror windows are going to be positioned, and the fact that Oda used his Vulcan shields to close out and get some more avenue for defenders to hold in the blue tunnel by putting those Goyo shields at the both entrances into the blue tunnel. So the moment the push will be happening, either the attackers will need to pop it and utilize some of the utility to get rid of it, or the defenders will have to pop it and deny some even more time in the area for the attackers to push. So one way or another, this is still going to be draining a ton of time for the attack.
Yeah, and he's got 3 of those, by the way. So you know, unless they just get kind of left off to the side and sort of forgotten, they can buy a lot of time. But they will need to buy a lot of time because they don't have something like a smoke. So Oda will be the guy who's kind of in that final minute going to be very important if he's still alive. Speaking of minutes as well, though, it's taken more than a minute to have Oddity choose to go in a different way. Luckily, Maverick's nice and quiet. See if he can breach in down from below. But there's our first kill of the night, actually. It's going to be over onto Vladdy, just picking off Nasty right at the start and completely for free.
Yeah, the thing is with Maverick, as of some of the more recent patches, the sound of his blowtorch has been actually upped. So he's not as stealthy as people would probably want him, but at the very least, Nasty was able to open up a crouch hole there to walk in. So in case all of the breach will be denied, there's still going to be a way for Oddity to make an entrance. But talking about making an entrance is already both of the hard breaches down. And that is huge right now for Ferox beginning their revenge tour here against Oddity.
Yeah, I mean, you got to imagine Ferox have got this one in the bag on the defense. It is still 3 attackers remaining for Oddity, but like you mentioned, with no breach, they are going to be funneled down into these choke points on the stairs, and they are just going to get mown down. So they're really praying for a miracle here, but they've already lost Sogs. He only gets half of Defra's health bar. In return, they're through the walls, just trying to find these kills. Even the Goyo shield's going down too. And with that, I mean, you've got to again ask, how does Oddity get through that?
And look at that. That is the very best showcase of how much does Mirror change the way how the defense is done in the blue tunnel. Because that Jaeger had all of the cover and the information gathering to know when exactly to go peek at that Zofia. And for that very reason, Oddity was pretty much denied any potential of getting a frag.
Yeah, and the problem is just amplified when you have no more breach left. You've got to walk through basically where the defenders let you, and yeah, like you said, the Mirror just makes it so much easier, and is probably a reason why she's banned quite often. So I imagine both, you know, Mirror's going to be picked up again. We'll probably see Maestro too. Sorry, Maverick, but probably Maestro as well. Maybe,
well, Maestro banned.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, we won't see him.
Interestingly enough, actually, Ferox prompted to go for Gym and Bedroom, which is usually considered more of a tertiary side to be picked by the defense, but it's considering that what Ferox mentioned before, whenever I was talking with them, is the fact that they're fully aware that Oddity counter-stratted the way how Ferox play the clubhouse, so they need to be busting out some of the rather more unusual strats and unusual decisions. So Gym Bedroom choice as a secondary side is probably one of those decisions, albeit that with the Maverick on board, Bandit Trickin is definitely not going to be on board, but rather Kite Trick could very much still be utilized, or at the very least delay the push to the maximum, considering that Nasty before showed a prime showcase as to why you don't leave your Maverick alone, because the moment while he opens up the holes, he'll catch the hands, and well, bullet to the head will pretty much be ending his run if that is going to happen for the second time here.
Yeah, that's what you get when you make your blowtorch so loud. That's just,
exactly.
You know, people are going to notice. So, but you're right. I mean, yeah, just being left alone, getting the free picks off. So, I mean, there's probably not too much to say about that first round. Just the fact that Ferox found some early kills and basically ran with it from there, because they were really important kills too. We just kept going on about how, you know, losing that breach just sucked. And so it could happen again here, but we could see a very different round, even with Oddity losing a member for free at the start, as long as it's not very important, like their breach.
Yeah, as long as it's neither Nasty or Mims, it's still gonna be fine if the first frag goes into the hands of Ferox. So, whereas on the side of Ferox, each one of those players is still very much viable, because, well, probably Vladdy will be probably the less viable one, like utility-wise, but anything else, every other player has so much utility to play. I mean, they have 3 C4s, for God's sake.
Utility? That just sounds like killing power to me. 3 C4s. But
True.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is a terrifying prospect, but the breach does go through. So they've opened up their holds and going through. But we know that there are some defenders pretty nearby, so Oddity are going to have to be very careful about this. But Ferox should be very well aware with all the noise that Oddity's making. They should know kind of what's going on and just be ready to prepare for it.
Yeah, with Deptra's Jaeger just being spotted by that drone, this is a pretty much full giveaway for Oddity to know to keep an eye out on the flank. But interestingly enough, they already used up the 2 X-Kairos pellets from Mims. Oh, there it is. There's the nice shot by Aang. Good coordination. But right now, the only way for them to make another breach and have another push is, well, if Mims had yet another set of X-Kairos, to open up a prone hole and then have Maverick to finish up the job. But that won't be the case. It will be very much of a one-sided push here.
I'm reloading.
Well, with all of that said and done, they've already taken 2 members out as Nasty takes out Stick as well. And so with that said and done, it's now just completely reversed. It's a 5v3. They still have to move on the defender's positions, so still a little better for Ferox than in round 1. But of course, 1 minute to go. That's enough time for Oddity to move in slowly. I mean, they can't take forever, but they don't have to rush in, which is the big point. They can just take easy kills like this. Sog's finding Steffi T as well. And now with only 2 defenders remaining, I mean, you've got to be praying for something here if you're Oda or Vladdy.
Yeah, and with the fact that Oddity did not lose a single bit of health in any of those firefights, just as I said, that Mims will be chugging a fat amount of damage, it's still going to be a flawless round, so a nice clapback by Oddity here after the first round, and this was also a really big showcase as to why is Gem usually used as a tertiary side, because of the very fact that there's so many ways for the attackers to peek from, that it's really hard to keep an eye out.
Yeah, and then there's also the fact that Deptra got found as well, which was pointed out pretty early on. That roam was going to be pretty big if you could pull it off, but it was shut down very quickly. And with that, I mean, Oddity just kind of meticulously went through all the other boxes to tick in that match. I mean, they just got a few extra kills, softened up the defense, and moved in after that. So going over here into round number 3, operator lineups staying... actually, we're getting a few changes here. I think Wamai is going to be a pretty big one to talk about. I mean, it's being added in, with the Jaeger as well. So you've got a lot of anti-projectiles there.
Yeah, I mean, with the current meta as it is, Wamai and Jaeger is probably going to become the second most hated combination next to Mutant Mozzie, considering that in the current meta, it is as of recently been referred to as a 20-second meta, because you waste almost 90% of the round on clearing out all of this utility, all of the projectile denial, all of the grenade denial, and only in the last 20 seconds you're going for that push. And while it wasn't as prevalent here in ANZ, it has been becoming more and more prevalent globally, so I wouldn't be surprised if we will be seeing some of the prime examples here in this very matchup between Ferox and Oddity soon as well.
So here we are with more bomb sites a little higher up, and so we've got to ask another question here: is this one going to suffer the same weaknesses that we saw on the last site, where they got surrounded way too easily?
I mean, that depends on whether the roam will be successful here by Ferox, considering that last time it was off a really good droning by the attack. And if it can be repeated the same way, then, well, this will be quite an easy dub to take for Oddity. But if Ferox do manage to deny this Maverick, they need to do it right this very instance. But it doesn't look like this will be the case as well. There's the one of the soft walls now ready to be opened.
Yeah, just poking in to see if there's any feet on the other side of it. They see a juicy hole in the wall now, so that's pretty easy for them to move through and just start taking over the site. That drone spots out a defender and pretty much for free as well, so it's pretty good intel gathering right now coming out for Oddity. They're going to have to start putting it to the test, though. They have 2 minutes to move in, so it's all right. They're still sitting outside the building here, still waiting to get into this garage. Probably looking to drone up just a little bit more with that ping, but as we can see through the silhouettes, we can see we've got plenty of defenders on the other side here, just waiting for them. It's going to be a Capital bolt, probably smoke bolt through the drone hole, and now we're just waiting. Now we're just waiting for the peak.
Yeah, Oddity is now being extremely patient right now with all their peaks, because they know that pretty much where all the angles are can get covered here by themselves. And well, for Ferox right now, they need to be very cautious when they go in for the push, because with Hills finding the shot onto Vladdy, that isn't yet another opening kills, and that is the cutout on between the two rotations.
Oh, and Steffi, he gets a C4 onto Nasty, and Nasty was just planting before. He went for the bait, but he got killed anyway, and so now with that, we're one apiece. And Oddity, they've got a minute to clean things up and get the diffuser down, but as we can see, Oda started to move on to point, and he's going to get ripped down, but Stick will get one back for him as well. So it is still an advantage over here for Ferox. 45 seconds left, getting closer and closer to that 20 seconds. And so Oddity taking a moment to breathe, taking a moment to think, but look at the health bars. And it's more than double for Ferox, with an extra person as well. And so with that, okay, that's a good shot. That's a good way to start things off for Oddity, but he lost a lot of, Hills actually lost a lot of health over on the other side. Did he get the diffuser? It looks like he did. No, so he's just looking for someone.
Yeah, the diffuser is on Sogs, so the main thing is the fact that the win by Deptra here on the 1v1 from the vertical has been very much successful, but right now between him and Sogs, he has the health advantage. A single pre-fire will be pretty much ending Zephyr's life, and right now Sogs is doing a really good idea as to just fall back to the construction and have a really safe angle, but Deptra is very much knowledgeable about that and needs to find that frag on the double if he wants to be successful. There's actually an attempt at counter-diffusing, and I don't think... Ooh, Sogs actually did fall in for the bait. There's the bait. There's the nice pre-fire, and well, Deptra will be able to clutch this out, so nicely done.
Yeah, you can see Deptra, he was, I'm not sure if it was panic or if he was just very, very meticulously looking at every pixel in the room, but he was looking all over the place. He was, but he had a plan, go for the bait, go and get the shot, and easily take out the round there. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how, panicky he kind of looked, because he proved he was very cool, calm, collected, easily able to execute that plan. So with that, they take the next round, and it all came down to that 1v1.
Maybe it's just Adderall kicking in at just the worst time. You never know.
No. It's when you accidentally hit that button on your mouse and your DPI just goes nuts. It's always in a different place on people's mouses, but I've had mice in the past where you can bump it against your keyboard and accidentally send your DPI skyrocket.
Now mine's at the bottom of the mouse, so thankfully I never actually had to experience that. But I know it's been a recurring thing for a fair few players. But to return back to the game at hand, we're back to a church. And previously, Church was really, really well defended here by Ferox with the usage of that very mirror that Stick has been running already.
Yeah, they were happy with how the composition went last time, so they're happy to throw it in again. Like you said, it worked out pretty well. They did rely on some pretty early frags to just coast through the later stages of the round, but that said, I mean, getting frags is still part of the round, so if they can find a way to find those early frags, then sure. But again, it's still, we've got to wait, see if they can get those frags, and if they don't, and Oddity go into an even fight near the end, then we might have a game on our hands, or a round on our hands.
And that's a very valid point, yeah, with the fact that Oddity were a little bit too hasty probably on their pushes, as at least with sending Nasty on the hard breach into the escape tunnel. Didn't really work out for them before, but maybe this time they might just do it slightly faster, so that way they will be fully aware as to where the places are going to be happening. Deptra once again will be found on that roam, and with some really good drone work.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Oddity wanted in round one. They get the kill onto Deptra first. Probably one of the more important members to get out. That roaming is now not going to be as big a deal. You still have to deal with the hunkered down defense that Mira and Goyo are going to allow, but now you get to do it with a one-man advantage.
Exactly, but there's also the plentiful amount of utility. I mean, there's still all three Jaeger ADSs. You'll still need to burn through that. You still need to get rid of the Goyo shields, and for that matter, the Kaid Electroclaws as well, considering that you don't really have, well, any shape or form of the electrification denial. There we go, sorry.
So what I'm trying to say is Thatcher was banned.
Yes, the Thatcher is banned and they don't have either Twitch nor IQ.
Yeah, okay. Well, halfway through the match, and Thatcher or no Thatcher, electrical denying or not, they still have to make it down there. This time, though, they do get that breach. They have so many more options to approach these sites. It could be a completely different round here, especially with that man advantage. But with the time getting closer to zero, we are going to get to see them move in pretty soon. Like you said, they're going to just run down those ADS. and get rid of those Vulcan shields. Just clear them out. Maybe deal with the pests at some point as well. And eventually you're gonna get through. Although, what's better than clearing a trap? Clearing a person.
And clearing out a person is definitely quite huge here, but so far it's been really one-sided from Oddity, and if Ferox can read in early as to where the push is going to happen, this is where they might have a whole lot of success. Steffi does actually manage to find a good shot there, as he will be pretty much distracted there by the air jab, and well, Nasty to find the shot onto Vladdy. Things are not looking all swell here for Ferox whatsoever.
Oh, it could definitely look cleaner, but they've only got 30 seconds to go. 2 members make that 1 member as Oda gets down but not out. Steffi T, the final member, standing now, and he's got to take on 4 members of Oddity. What can he get done? There we go, the final bullet into Oda will clean him up. And now, around the corner, you can't pick like that when you've got 4 opponents. Oddity win the round.
Yeah, Oddity reading in really well into the positioning of Ferox players, and I gotta say that for Deptra, he needs to stay alive for longer than those 30 seconds, because, I mean, we just saw in round number 3 the very stark difference between whenever there's a full man defense ready to pretty much respond back onto offense, and when Deptra goes down early into the round and there's not as much of a fragging power there. So yes, roaming is good. Yes, having some aggressive position is great, but if you're already exposing yourself so much to the point where even a slight drone work is already able to take you out, this is becoming an issue.
Cthulhu, as we move into the next round, we've got a pretty, I'd say, significant operator change coming up on the defense here. And we've got the Mute Mozzie combo is coming out now, which I think is really good. It's going to buy them a whole lot of time, but I think a big one as well is Vigil. He's going to be roaming around. It's going to be stick on that one too. So would you consider that Vigil's a bit win more, a little bit all or nothing?
Vigil is just, it's rather one of those responses to whenever you see an opposite team going for way too much droning. And if you can play a Vigil right on the roam, you can very much fool the offense, and for that matter, any opposition, into thinking that you can be either roaming up on the top floor whilst you're on the ground floor, or completely opposite. So it will all depend on how will Stick play this out in correlation with all the drone denial that has been brought on board by Ferox. But, I mean, honestly, that whole setup that Oda pretty much pulled off with the castle barricades, that is a little bit of a risky attempt, considering that it was showcased in Pro League Global Finals, and I believe also in an Invitational by a North American team. But ever since then, a whole lot of teams tried to repeat that success, but not a whole lot of them were able to do it successfully.
Well, we'll see how it works out for them here, because they've been picking up the castle.
Oh my.
Hold that thought, because the fighting has already started, and it's not even a minute in, and Steffi T is the one to get first blood as he takes out Mims, and with that, well, Oddity, they are just going to continue rushing down this tunnel, although they are going to get one back. It is trade, though, as Sox gets taken out too, so we do remain still a man advantage for Ferox. It's a bit of an assault from different sides here. Another one goes down. It's going to be Vladdy. And now we're back to the 3v3. And Oddity are approaching on the side. They get another kill. Oda goes down. And it's going to be another one just around this corner. Aang has to get it done. Nasty's planting the diffuser. Everything's going downhill for Ferox right now. They've got to get out of this one. Don't have a lot of health. Stick is barely alive right now. But they have downed Aang. So it's still now a 2v2 with the diffuser down.
And with the fact that Deptra just already revealed his plans for opening up that hole, he needs to go in for the opposite push. The call out from Hibana will be coming in as to where the push by Mozzie is going to be coming out, and all the pre-fires are there. It's pretty much a matter of time by the time when the peak is going to come out, and well, there it is. There's the peak by Oddity. So there we go. Oddity do manage to find yet another win. So now they are in a point advantage. So for Ferox to really feel somewhat comfortable here after the first half, they need to even it up to 3 apiece.
Yeah, and you know, the way things have been going, I feel like we might get that. I mean, last time these teams played, it went all the way to overtime in 2 maps, so, I mean, stick with us, folks. We might go there again, but we're not even through the first half. So let's chill out for a moment. We're going to CCTV and Cash onto this round. We're bringing back the mirror. We're keeping the double, ADS and Lamai combo. So we've got a lot of work going on, although we've kicked mirror out for some reason. Kaid's back in.
Yeah, for CCTV room, I'm guessing bringing in a Valkyrie rather than, say, a mirror is a bit more viable here for Ferox, considering that Valkyrie does allow to have those hidden cameras to stay around. So in case you want to go for some of the roams, or in case you're expecting a flank, those will be a much more favorable rather than having a mirror. But I would say that attempting to bring in a mirror, say, instead of that very Valkyrie, is also not a bad idea, considering that you can chuck one onto that CCTV wall, and sorry, not CCTV wall, cache wall that overlooks into CCTV, and from there have the overlook. But with that also said, it can be breached from below and opened up by the offense. So I can see also one of the reasonings as to why teams would rather not do that.
All right, well, it's been done. There's no mirror. There's just Oda on a Valkyrie, and we'll see if that is going to be the play that they make here. Ferox looking to even things up to come here into round number 6, going back up to the second floor, going to CCTV and Cash, and you can already know where they want to go inside. If they can make it in, but they're gonna.
A bomb has been located.
No,
I like the fact that Deptra actually switched around to the Mozzie, so he can still roam around really well, but this time he has actually the utility on him to actually deny some of the droning. So right now he just needs to be extra careful not to get taken out, because right now, oh, this pre-fire was so close.
Sogs, oh man, he's getting cheeky and maybe even trying to bait a defender out onto his Claymore, but doesn't find it, unfortunately. It could have been real fun though. Could have been real fun. But for now, it's basically just a minute down, and it's already just trying to run down some of the utility right now. They maybe have run down some of the ADS, maybe burn a few magnets. They're getting some of the breaching done, taking a few shots as well. So Aang punished pretty heavily for that, loses most of his health.
Yeah, right now already did manage to make a fairly quick work of the reinforced wall into CCTV. So right now they need to either open up yet another avenue for them to push from, or they need to start actually draining all of that push denial utilities, such as ADSs, those magnets as well from Womai. So there's still plenty of things that need to be done prior to the push.
And still taking these dangerous, I've got to say, peaks coming around into the garage, and just any one of these peaks could be your health bar gone. So you've got to be super careful here. He has seen one of the defenders, so he knows someone from Ferox is in there. Question is, how many of them are in different rooms? And so for now, the shots are going to go through the windows. But Cthulhu, we're down to a minute to go, and Oddity have yet to really take a step for a whole minute.
It looks like they're trying to make some work, because they're fully knowledgeable that there might be a roam, but already with Nasty confirming that fact that there's nobody at the main bedroom, well, they should be able to take control of the construction site pretty quickly. And with Deptra gone as well, this should be a pretty swift take there for Oddity.
Oh, maybe not, because Stick has taken it back to Mims getting the vengeance. Oh no, we can see someone from Ferox right around the corner there, so you have to be super careful if your Sog's moving into that one. But it is even numbers. But with only 25 seconds to go, and only just now breaching another room into the bomber site, question is, can they win these fights here? Because they have to win them, and they have to win them quickly, as they're about to go in 15 seconds now. Breaches are coming out all over the place, and Oddity, now's the time to run. And it's going in for the rush. Steffi mows downhill straight away, and yet another one. I believe that was Sogs. Yes, it was. Sogs gets taken out too, and 3 seconds to go. Oddity are done and dusted here. They might get a kill here and there by walking over a C4, ending the round in style.
And this is the prime example of that 20-second meta for anyone that is not really a whole lot aware. This is where right now Oddity ran down to those last 20 seconds, and only then they started trying to make some ruckus, trying to go in for the peaks, trying to go in for the push, because they had to be sure completely that no other utility will be there to stop them from having any plans or any pushes, really. And so the way how Ferox held there was phenomenally and very well done, and which we'll be seeing us at a 3 apiece at the first half. But now comes the question is, how well can Oddity defend, considering that so far this has been a bit of a back and forth match?
Yeah, and we've seen teams show a massive preference to some of these sides. I mean, particularly the last 2 weeks. I think we saw that in the biggest effect. It might come into effect here. Maybe we see Oddity is just spectacular on defense, and maybe they're, quite a bit weaker on attack. And with that, they could be the significantly better team. So we'll have to wait and see throughout a few defense rounds to see how Oddity stands on defense, if it really is their much stronger, much more preferred side. But, I mean, as you can see, I mean, just even looking at the operators, right, you can see that both teams are taking a different approach to attack and defense.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Instead of bringing in Mira and having some rather more unconventional decisions as to how to hold, Oddity are approaching this slightly more conventional, rather than Ferox. They bring in a bandit to deny the breach onto the wall into the church. They bring in a Wamai, which could be a big deviation here for the attack that they will need to deal with. And then, well, the remainder of the roster pretty much is just replacement for some of the bandit operators. I mean, the choice of Valkyrie for the downstairs side is mainly to replace the similar role that Pulse was filling in, so that vertical info gathering plus the C4.
Okay, and we approach the basement, and Oddity are now facing Ferox, kind of breathing down their necks as they're approaching the site quite quickly here, droning it out, getting the information they can, and I've got to say, they've made some pretty good progress making it this far into the building, as they've still got more than 2 minutes to go. They are going to have to start working on a whole lot of this utility to drain. I mean, you've got to get through all the, the ADS, you've got to get through the magnets, and I mean, there's still plenty of that to go. There's still 3 smoke bombs to go. We haven't seen any of those come out just yet. I mean, don't expect to. Those usually come out at the later end, but we know that they're there, I think is the big thing.
Yeah, that is probably the big thing. Interestingly enough, already the first C4 came out from Mims, and that wasn't as successful, but there were some pre-fires, and Deptra is quite heavily tagged there for his team. So right now, the main issue for Ferox is that they need to just go in for the push and just ensure that they won't be losing a whole lot of players as well. Right now, they managed to dodge already 2 of the C4s, and that is actually all the explosives from Oddity.
Oh, it's like playing the floor as lava, but in real life, and they're throwing another breaching charge to get through, to fully go through down onto the site now. And now, I mean, we talked about how much time they had. Oh, that was a quick shot right in the middle of throwing out a drone. Deptra is not having a good day, to say the least. And so now, with that, Ferox, I mean, 4v5, 1 minute to go. Sorry, 4v4. As I correct myself. Oda picking up a kill there. But they do have a great position above the site.
They sure do, and they also have the yet another avenue of breach done, which is the dirt tunnel, which can be emphasized and very well already. Vlad and Stick did go for that push, and as Sticky also does manage to pick up a shot, yet another one for Oda. So right now this is working spectacularly well for Ferox, but Hills is in a very powerful position where he can deny the drop as well as the push from the dirt tunnel. So they need to go for a very well coordinated pinch, otherwise Hills might be able to pretty much win this 1v3 pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's still a big ask for Hills though, but he can hear all the commotion going on and he walks down and is immediately shot down. Much too big an ask for him. Pretty much impossible task for someone at that point. So, I mean, with that, it's looking pretty good for them. So, moving into it, round 8 now, we finally get to see what Oddity look like on defense. And you know what it looks like? It looks like Deptra dies at the start of the round, but Ferox will anyway.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, the way how Deptra ended up dying, he was the IQ, so he already did his utility job. So he managed to deny and bait out those 2 C4s, 1. 2, he was able to get rid of the Valkyrie cameras, at least partially. And he was able to, I believe, find a few more of other utility that was positioned by Oddity, including, I believe, the magnet. So overall, he did his job. Yes, he didn't do well frag-wise, but his team thankfully was able to perform that. So overall, his impact of him dying early into the round on offense rather than on defense has been very much different.
Okay, well, he may live further than the first death in this round for now, and yeah, the question is going to be again, will he get his job done? Will he get all of the electronics sorted out and dance around all the C4 again like we saw before? Yeah, you're right. I mean, he was instrumental in taking the higher ground above the bomb site too. I mean, that was basically in that room when he was doing it. But let's cast our eyes to round 8 here. As once again, we're going to be sitting here in the basement, probably looking at another tunnel defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's still quite a stark difference between the previous round of the defensive roster, considering that we already see a Mirror choice, a Legion choice, as well as a Kayed decision to bring rather than a Bandit. So you have a bit more of a flexible decision to play. You don't have any more of the breach denial on some of the walls. Rather, you can prevent the vertical play from the hatches by utilizing the Kayed. So here, Stick will be instrumental to opening up those before any push will be starting to happen. As well as that, he will be actually opening up another crouch hole into the dirt tunnel, but will get shut down pretty much instantly. It will be given the same a taste of the same medicine that was given to Oddity in the first round. So
yeah, given specifically to Nasty, and Nasty's the one to pick up that kill. So that has got to feel good. And again, the big thing is that it's a kill for free. It didn't take any damage in return. Basically, the only thing you trade off is now there's a hole in the tunnel. And so I guess they can get through. But getting a kill for that is perfectly fine. And so now, as we come into it, Deptra, even with the man down, we'll be searching around for any electronics. He's finding quite a lot, at least getting the location, taking them out, and once again, doing his job.
Yeah, and right now, Oddity's job here is to firstly not fall for the C4 baits that Ferox might be trying to pull off. That's one. And two, they need to prevent those pushes to be done. But oh, there's the C4, yeah. Hill's finding a fantastic kill and actually able to down Oda, so he will be intrinsically down to 20 health, which is quite huge, given all things considered. And right now, this is not a good time here for Ferox, albeit. Okay, that's a good beginning.
Yeah, Deptra finds actually a really good kill through the tunnel and makes his way through. He's just mowing it down, actually. He's the king of the tunnel. And so with that, another Legion Mine, just get this out of me, throw it down. Can he get a third kill down here in the tunnel? That's a big ask. He does have full health, though. So he can take these peaks and maybe come out on top, but might have to hold our breath. He goes for a peek, doesn't get shot. No one throws out any bullets, and we can see the defender sneaking around. The bullet line's coming out. Deptra, will he find his kill? His teammates just on the other side of a few walls over there. You can see Oda making his moves, maybe to go for a plant, maybe to go for a kill. Moving down the stairs just to get different angles, but Deptra will go down and gets struck down in the tunnels and not even throw out any damage in return. Got 2 kills though, so did a good job, but couldn't get it. The clutch down in the end, and no, oh no, Ferox just run into a meat grinder.
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to be done there by Ferox, unfortunately for them, and very fortunate for Oddity, as they were able to shut things down pretty quickly. But yeah, that mirror once again shows how passive and how also aggressive you can be as a Jaeger playing behind that very mirror window. So a good performance by Oddity to even things out yet again, as I'm feeling in my bones yet again the overtime that would be coming. But this time it won't be 2 maps, I believe. I get a feeling that we will be seeing this through and through on all 3 maps.
You reckon we can get the magical 3 map overtime? We haven't had that yet. We've only had 2 maps of overtime.
I very much feel that we just might get a 3 map overtime. Considering that, so far, even with the fact that Oddity had plentiful amount of vaults to play, to study Ferox's play on Clubhouse, this is still very much close for Oddity's preferred position.
Yeah, and we can hardly be surprised. Last time these teams played, they didn't actually play on Clubhouse, even though it was map 3, we never got to it. But, I mean, how fitting is it that it would also go to overtime here? So we would have an example of both of these teams playing on all 3 maps today, would have an example of overtime. And that'd be really fun. But we have to get there. We have to get there. And we've definitely seen teams just win from this point before, but let's take a look at what's going on here in round 9, because changed bomb sites, we're upstairs now, and Oddity are basically hunkering down up there.
Yeah, so last time we saw CCTV being played out, which was defended by Ferox, we saw a prime example of how much utility needs to be denied and how much avenues needs to be opened up for the offense to have a very confident push. And this could be showcased here as well, considering that this time Oddity did bring in a mirror and will be actually opening it up. So that way it will be very hard for a safe opening to be done by the offense, but instead it could actually be utilized by the Hibana pretty easily as well.
Yeah, they have a few options to get in. Of course, Oddity have made it pretty difficult for them throughout this. We've seen Peaks just get killed. We've seen so many poor Mavericks just get slaughtered when they're left alone. So it can definitely go either way. It's certainly not over until there's a big fat hole in the wall and people are through it. So we're gonna wait until that actually happens. And we've already drained down now a minute. Nasty's lost a good chunk of his health bar as well, but so is Deptra. In fact, Deptra's lucky to be alive.
I just witnessed
like
a fat chunk of health drop from Deptra's health bar, and that is, yeah, he is very much lucky to be alive right now, because I believe that was it one of the C4s? No, it wasn't. It wasn't even one of the C4s. It was literally just a part of the gunfight.
Well, I mean, that's the difference, is you get a player alive rather than having a player dead right now. So you'll take it. You'll take it for sure. It's still IQ. You can still scout out all the electronics going in. Just keep him back. Make sure he doesn't get a stray bullet. And shouldn't be too bad. Just keep an eye out for those roams. Now, another kill does go down. Unfortunately, all that was said for not too much, because Deptra does get taken out pretty quickly by Ang. Roaming around on that Jaeger, finding Deptra, taking him out pretty easily.
Yeah, vertical roam here is going to be huge for the defense to pull off really well, considering that Jaeger is going to be a massive thorn in the side of the offense, and they need to deal with him quite quickly. And Oddity on their offense has showcased that very well. The moment they were able to take out Deptra, there was no roam. They had probably one of the more confident plays that could have been done there.
And here come the smokes to buy out that time. They can buy a little bit more with one more, but Oda, you're not allowed to do that.
Well, he just very much did that, and well, that is a really nice pick-off, considering that is, like you mentioned before, there was still one more smoke to be utilized here, and right now they need to make sure that control on the brown stairs has been completely cleared out, as well as that the position at rafters is, they were not able to contest that in any shape or form. And right now the push is actually happening. There's the full flurry of kills. Steffi actually finding a double kill, but right now the plan needs to be denied here by Oddity if they want to play it out. There's a peek by Mira, but the diffuser is planted successfully with, oh my, a nice double kill in response here as well by Oddity, as now it is all up to Oda.
Yeah, Oda's going to hang out on the outside, wait for them to come in and try and be annoying and ruin this diffuser as he goes in. He's looking for one defender, but that diffuser, it was just a bait. It's not actually happening, but with that, Oda goes down, and Hills or Mims will go in and clear things up to win the round for Oddity.
Yeah, Oddity managing to really turn things around back into their favor at the end of the round. Definitely worked out really well. Big props though to Hills, as he was the one to grab those 2 frags from the red stairs, where his position was really strong, albeit that it wasn't as well fortified. It was literally just a few metal bars plus a barbed wire, but that was just enough to force the attack to not even try to go for a contestation on those stairs.
Well, another really sick thing was Oda getting that kill onto, I think it was Nasty on Smoke. It was, he still had 1 smoke grenade left, so that could have been another 20-ish seconds that the attackers couldn't go in, Ferox, and you know, it was cutting it to the wire anyway. So for Ferox to even make it that close, it came down to Oda getting that kill. And so gotta watch out for those things as you move in later on. I mean, you gotta keep your smoke alive.
Well, yeah, but at the same time, it's even with smoke down, he did a fair bit of job. He managed to utilize most of his utility with those 2 smoke grenades that he did manage to use, and well, he was able to deny quite some time. So in general, his job was pretty much done, but albeit yes, smoke is still very much of a viable op, but hey, Oddity managed to pull it back, so that's the big props to them.
Yeah, but now they're on that dangerous point where they can just win 1 more round and then start to force overtime, threaten match point, and this is where it starts to get a little worrisome for Ferox. So we could see things spiral a little out of control here in terms of momentum, but again, I kind of want to finish out the round here, see if Ferox can hold true. I mean, going by the script, it's, you know, one side wins and then the other side wins, so we might just see Ferox win here, but I think the big thing is keeping your eyes on Deptra. He hasn't really had the best firefights later, and even if he is getting some of his job done, I think if he stays alive later on in the round, then he can be instrumental in getting Ferox to win.
Yeah, right now, with the way how Ferox been playing, they had a good idea about how to go for an approaches, but they weren't able to have those early shutdowns the way how Oddity were able to perform. So, with that said, the initial frag onto Mims, that's a very good beginning. That's the Mozzie off board, that is the Hack Drones disposal off, and that's the C4 off board, as well as the fact that Angmo just went down to the hands of Vladdy. So, overall, really, really good beginning here for Ferox to emphasize of this round and get themselves back into the play.
Yeah, I mean, Vladdy and Deptra basically just set this one up for their team. They found the kills. There was probably some help for, I think, Vladdy, but I think Deptra did it pretty much on his own. But with that said, I mean, it's 2 kills down. You lost a little bit of health onto Deptra, but once again, he's mostly done his job, and you can just hang back, survive to the end of the round. And you still have a 5v3 as you go into the defense. You have to deal with the mirror and the smoke grenades, but I mean, Wamai regenerates his magnet, so you can just run them through that. But Vladdy has picked up Nasty as well, and I think at this point, it's less about running the defenders out and just brute forcing it with numbers. Although Sogs is going to even the odds up, it's only on to Deptra, who was the lowest health. Hills, though, finds Steffi, who had a full health bar, so that's a great trade. And now we're in a position where already could have come back, but Vladdy picking up the kill off the Hills. Vladdy, gosh, that's free material there if he ever moves teams, but with that, they do manage to pick up the rounds, and they do manage to keep the script intact.
Yeah, so 5 apiece so far. That was really well coordinated by Ferox, by the way. They had some really good drone work and just managed to overall just catch each one of the Oddity players off guard into those really comfortable 1v1s in Ferox's favor. So, good beginning for a potential push for them to take the rounds and the potential win in this map. But if they do, this will actually be quite huge, considering that this is Oddity's pick, and this is also one of the more played maps that was used by Ferox. So if they manage to take this could be quite big. But same goes for Oddity. If they win this out straight away, no overtime, it will show that their homework didn't go in vain.
Well, Cthulhu, we still have at least 2 more rounds to go through.
Yeah.
No matter what. Whether we're getting overtime, whether we're getting a 7-5, we still have to go through 2 more rounds, at least. And so, these next 2 rounds are going to be instrumental and incredibly tense for both teams coming into this one, just to take the first game in the best-of-3 series as well. So, we all know how important momentum can be. It didn't affect them in the last series that these 2 teams played against each other, but we've seen it a lot in other best-of-3s. Close game 1, and then whoever loses gets crushed in game 2. So it could be very important to win game 1 here.
I don't think we will be seeing that kind of a shutout here between those 2 teams, because both of them showcased us that they are able to stick through quite a fair bit of time. So I don't think fatigue will be coming into play up until, like, say, I don't know, second half of map number 3, if we go to that. But I do want to say that Church and Arsenal push is going to be very much in favor of Oddity, albeit that we just witnessed a change around of the player from Maverick to a Thermite, and right now this could be actually one of the bigger brain plays.
Yeah, keen to see how it works along with the Hibana. Obviously it's much louder, but it does make bigger holes, it's much quicker, you can time it later, so it's a little bit safer overall if you can get there to make the breach, but we'll see how it goes for them. They have taken a little bit of time, but still have 2 minutes to go. Already have picked a comp which is just happy to sit back and maybe roam a little later on with the Jaeger, but you know, you've got Mirror, you've got a bunch of C4s, you've got Smoke. I mean, just sit back and let Ferox walk into the meat grinder and take your 6th round if you can.
Yeah, that is a good point, but right now Ferox will have 2 points of entry. They have the blue tunnel and they have the escape tunnel. So 2 bit of kind of choke points, you could say, to play from, but it's so much better to have a 2-sided push rather than a 1-sided, considering that at that point Oddity will need to split their defense in such a huge way that it will allow Ferox to take those very confident firefights and 1v1s.
Yeah, and Oddity still have quite a lot of tools left to go. They've got all their C4s, they've got a bunch of impacts, they've got, you know, 3 gas bombs. They've got everything, and there's only a minute to go now for Ferox to make their final push, so they might be making that 2-pronged attack, but they'll have to see if it goes well for them. Oda going to come down and join the party soon as well, but and right at the choke point, right at the door, Hills finds the C4 kill onto Vladdy, shuts him down. That's the Hibana gone, that's your range breach gone. Now your IQ is gone as well. 3 people left. And against all the gas bombs, you throw one out to buy a little bit of time. I feel like Oddity are in a great spot.
Oddity are in a fantastic spot. They also still have one more C4 as well, and all of those places. Look at this, 3 people that are at that very same position right now. And this is
don't stand
don't go peeking there, Oda. Does manage to punish Mims, so it's still, well, he managed to get some solace from that, but right now with Stogs already having some good positioning, and I'm already going to flank. He died at the same spot, yeah. Stick will be dying here, and that is pretty much at this point can be called the stairway of death, because that is where the 5-stack of Ferox just wiped at a moment's notice.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, I know I make a joke about this every week, but that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do not socially isolate. You do not stick 5 members in the same spot because you end up just falling over and dying or losing the round. And so with that, Oddity move on to match point. And this one, it's still coming down to the wire. Each round just feels like it can go either way, but Ferox are just, they've got to find these frags, man, at the start because they're kind of walking into some of them. They're also running out of time a lot, but to be fair, Oddity are building comps that make that happen.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole reason why Oddity been winning out on some of those defensive rounds, just because they were able to delay so much time to the point where Ferox were forced in that kind of last 20 to 30 second positions where they have to make a move, but they don't know where to go. They completely lost. They completely just unable to find any kind of closure, any openings for that matter, really, even for themselves. And well, this is where Oddity are able to catch them off guard. They're able to emphasize on each one of those small mistakes that Ferox keep on making, and that's where they pay very dearly, considering that, yeah, like you said, we are on match point, and if Oddity managed to make this a win, this could be a pretty big beginning for them.
Yeah, we'll have to hold our breath, though, to see how it affects the second match if they do win here. But let's, again, hold our breath and just wait and see how this potentially final round does go here for Oddity coming in. They've dropped the smoke this time, so not going to be going for that time buying with the gas bombs, but instead, Mim's going to be on that Echo. Just going to get a whole lot of more information, and even that just buys a whole lot of time by just disrupting the plants with the Yokai drone.
Yeah, that Yokai drone could be really huge, and pretty much does signal for the fact that Deptra needs to stay alive for quite a fair bit of time until the main push will start commencing as well. He is scanning things around it. Oh, there's the beam. Deptra gone very early into the round. Hills making a test of his crouch button as well. Will be celebrating maybe a little bit early, but hey. Maybe they already know that they got the big dub here, but right now things are not looking all pretty for Ferox.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically how you set it up on the map, on the round that you want to win the most. You take out Deptra, just like you have on many of the rounds that you've won. Ferox have definitely come back as a 4v5 without Deptra before, but I mean, it's not like they're making significant progress here. They haven't run down utility too much, and they're still struggling to really get onto the site here from the outside. So starting to build that 2-prong approach, they can get around here, but that said, I mean, you've got 4 people against 5. That's going to make it just hard alone.
Yeah, with the construction site still being at a big question mark right now for Ferox, things are not looking all well. Vladdy is trying to take control, and there is actually 3 people dedicated to clearing out construction sites, so that is a good beginning here, but with a minute and 13 seconds left to go, things might be starting to look a little bit dicey, but hey, the new jammers, first of all, need to be cleared off, and Mims to be down, firstly, that is a good beginning.
That's certainly a way to start it. I mean, I'm kind of curious how that happened, but Now with that big hole in the wall, actually, and Steffi T going down, that's going to make it pretty hard for Ferox to go in. They've got less than a minute. There's some defenders on some very low amounts of health, though, throwing the frag through the hole in the wall. Just trying to find a kill here. There's still kills going in, and Oddity are actually bringing it back. Not even losing too much of their health, and it's only Stick. It's only Stick. What can he do? This might be it here. Oddity might just win the game here. 25 seconds left. I mean, Stick looking for the big plays, but 5 members of Oddity stand in his way. 20 seconds for him to take him out. I don't think he can take out 1 member every 5 seconds. I mean, that's just a big ask.
Yeah, right now trying to bait in some of the pushes here. Well, Oddity will be finalizing this map with a flawless round, and well, this has been a really dominant play there by Oddity, at the very least on the final few rounds. That was some really well coordinated stuff, and well, they are going to be going into map number 2 with a map advantage, and this is going to be quite a huge one, especially for Ferox, considering that they won't have that map buffer anymore for any mistakes.
Yeah, and now as we get back into it, and even just looking at the scores, actually, I mean, we say that the game itself was quite close, but then you look at the operator scores here, and that is just a world of difference there for Oddity. I mean, they're almost double some of the points. So round differences, maybe not so much, but then you look at the individual scores and yeah, okay, maybe you get to start to see a bit of a picture and get a little confident if you're a fan of Oddity. But that's done and dusted now. They've got Clubhouse done. They've just got to get one more, and Bank is going to be the next map. Do you think that's where they can do it?
Hey, this could be one of those maps where we could see it being played out. Bank was not really as much of a favorite map by Ferox as Clubhouse, but maybe this could be the avenue where they pick up that map win, and maybe we'll see a third map after that. So there's plentiful of ifs, but right now for Oddity, things are looking up really well.
Yeah, well, Cthulhu, we're going to have to wait before we see the results of the next match because we're going to a short break, but once we return, we'll be back on Bank to continue the series that is Oddity versus Ferox.
This is just clinical.
Rainbow Six. Experts in close quarters battle and hostage rescue. Assembled from special forces teams around the world. The counterterrorism units. These are the elite American operators. Ash is equipped with a custom M120 compact rifle developed to breach through windows, floors, and walls from a distance. When Ash knocks, better seek shelter.
I got it.
Sensor activated.
Pulse is capable of tracking suspects' heartbeats wherever they hide.
Target down.
Pretty lethal for a biometrics genius.
Target's in sight.
To secure doors and windows, Castle carries a portable bulletproof panel that can be rolled like a blanket, but holds like a fortress. He knows exactly how to get rid of trouble.
Taking fire.
Equipped with the Brimstone.
Ready.
A remote detonable rolling mat. Thermite can cut metal like butter.
You gotta love chemistry. I got visual.
Now that we've been in lockdown for just on a week now, some of you might be starting to experience what's known as the 7-day twitch, where you're feeling cooped up, so you think maybe it's okay to go over to a mate's place for a couple of beersies or a couple of winesies, or go for a drive and take selfies on the empty streets. Please don't do this. We need to stay in our bubbles and enjoy a bit more indoor time if we're going to beat this thing. Minogue?
I've had enough, O'Leary. I gotta get out of here, man.
And what on earth are you doing?
I formed a tribe with my dog Tinker because my brother Adam's gone full Mad Max. He's got a spiky leather helmet and a leather jerkin, and he's claimed the kitchen and the bathroom as his own, part of his new country, Adamland. He's controlling the water. We've got to escape.
Minogue, look, calm down. It's only been 7 days, okay? You just need to work out a way to make up with Adam and share the whole flat together.
Yeah, but I've spent 4 days putting together this really cool fort in the bedroom. It'd be a shame to waste it.
Okay, well, maybe you could suggest to watch Mad Max then, instead of him having to behave all like that.
No, it'll never work, but I'll give it a go. Hey, Adam, you want to watch Mad Max in the bedroom? Okay.
See, that wasn't too hard, was it? We all need to stay indoors and get on with our fellow bubble mates if we're going to beat this thing. So if you feel yourself starting to get the 7-day twitch, go for a walk near your house. Maybe you could clear out the garage, or you could pretend your backyard's Fiji and do a spot of sunbathing. But don't freak out and break the rules. Kia kaha. Be strong and do the right thing. Don't be the one to pass it on. How's your movie?
We decided against Mad Max. Tinker's already seen it. She's not a fan of Charlize Theron. We've gone for something more uplifting.
Oh yeah, what are you going to watch?
Fight Club. We've got Marmite in my arm.
Is that Marmite?
Marmite.
Is that Marmite?
Smells like it.
You are forever mine. You are mine, and that's fine. I will protect you all the time, because you're mine. Oh, the places we will go. We are forever.
精致产品，美妙生活 Konka。
And we return. We've still got at least one more map to go through, maybe two if we're lucky during this series. Ferox versus Oddity. Oddity have taken map number 1 on Clubhouse, and it was a tight one. It came down not quite to overtime, but we almost made it there.
Yeah, I mean, 7-5 is still a very prominent scoreline in favor of Oddity, and it definitely showed that Ferox were missing out on a fair few plays. They were able to emphasize of some of small mistakes that Oddity did make, but Oddity made sure that they didn't make a whole lot of mistakes in the first place. And, well, yeah, like I said, 7-5 scoreline on Clubhouse on their map pick is a good beginning for them, but they still need to go through one more map.
Yeah, and that map is going to be Bank. So last time we had these guys playing, they played on Bank on the second map. It was just after an overtime. They got into another overtime again when they played on Bank last time. So that score was 8-6, and that was Oddity that won that one. So it was still very close, and it could have gone either way. But that said, that's what map 1 looked like. And we may be looking at a repeat here if we get the same Oddity that came out of map 1.
Yeah, I mean, they could be running right now on a pretty big hype wave, considering that they've just managed to get themselves oh so close to getting themselves to a grand final, which is going to be quite huge, firstly. And secondly, I mean, Bank right now, for Ferox, they need to get back into their spirit, because if they are on even a slight bit of tilt here, it could go really very much down south for them score-wise. And yeah, they just need to get back into their play because they've managed to show us some really close matchups. They were able to find some really quick closures as well, but Clubhouse was not one of them.
It does feel like whenever Ferox make a mistake, it gets punished way harder than when Oddity make a mistake. And I mean, would you say that's probably the biggest factor going up into what we saw in game number 1, the biggest reason that Oddity could take the win just barely at the end there?
I mean, it could be that. It could be also the fact that, well, Ferox might be just feeling not particularly keen or maybe not in their shoes just yet, but we are going to go straight away into ban phase, and, well, Thatcher is once again the first one to be banned out.
Yeah, I mean, Thatcher, a big reason to ban out on Clubhouse, but it's just a big pick that you see on pretty much every map, so why not kick him out of there? Nomad was picked up quite a lot in Clubhouse as well, and also, again, just another popular pick. Doesn't usually make the ban phase, but sometimes slips through, but usually makes the picks, and so isn't usually a waste of a ban.
Yeah, and this is definitely, once again, a target ban here by Ferox. They do not want to play this, want her to be on the playfield, as well as that one Maya actually going to get banned out, but not for the, well, mainly for the fact that how much his utility just requires you to clean it out with IQ, and secondly, well, he's just a really great roamer, so him and Pulse off the board gonna make things for roaming info gathering definitely much harder.
I'm not really surprised about the Pulse ban either, because it was not the last time they played on Bank, but a few weeks ago, Deptra had a absolutely monster game on Pulse. He got some highlight clips. He was probably MVP on that map. Bank seemed like his playground, and so I'm not too surprised to see that ban come out. I think it was actually when they played Ferox, now that I think about it, but he had a fantastic map, so take it out of there, get him away from that operator, and just don't let him have it again. So he's going to have to go for at least this round Capital instead.
What is also interesting to me here is the fact that Mims brought in, instead of a Mozzie, he brought in a Castle, two very different roles, and while Mozzie is a good addition to the roster, he can deny, in addition with Mute, he can deny so much info gathering by the attackers. Bringing in a Castle will be pretty much ensuring that Ferox will need to drain a ton of utility. And, well, at the moment they have the perfect person for that, Oda, on the Sledgehammer, but that Sledgehammer needs to be very much up close and personal with whatever it needs to destroy. So they will need to make sure that they will safeguard this very person very carefully, as well as that they need to make sure that Stick doesn't go down very early. And, well, because this has been so far their reoccurring mistake through and through during Coastline. That's not Coastline, right. Clubhouse.
Let's talk about these sites here though, just before we get into the proper action phase here. So coming into it, will Ferox have quite a lot of angles to come around? How many breaching opportunities are they really going to have on these sites?
Well, mainly the main one that they want to ensure that they have is the east wall of the CEO office, because this is the main place where the pushes usually come through, and this is the main place where the plants do go down. So right now they need to make sure that they take control of the eastern, sorry, the northeastern skylight. There we go. Sorry. As well as that, the stock room, and get those breaches done, and ensure that nobody from that closet will be running out, like Angmo, who's currently playing as Jaeger. So a fair few steps need to be performed before they will be comfortable to go in for the push. But yeah, the east wall is the first priority here.
Okay, now Ferox, they're setting up for it. They're moving into what you've been saying, and they're doing it from many different places around the building, but it looks like now they're starting to move in at least towards the sites. They're on the other side of the wall here, so they may be looking to find a way in pretty shortly, probably finding their breach. It's only halfway through the round, so they've made good progress so far.
Ooh.
Oh, few good shots going down nice and early.
Yeah, a bit of damage there done by Sogs, which is a good beginning considering that this is the Valkyrie. And ooh, Mim's getting a little bit too cheeky. He tries to move over to that breached wall so he can impact deny the push, but right now does manage to actually run away with it, and the breach will be quite successful as well as that Deptra once again does manage to find an opening onto Angmo. So already a very good beginning here, but that mute jammer is going to be a pain in the backside of the attack, but at the very least,
you've got to imagine though, with Ang going down, they can start looking at moving in pretty quickly. I mean, they've got the breaches down, and we saw a second thermite charge going up. You can imagine that one got through too. There's big holes in the wall, so all the angles are there now for Ferox. They're just going to poke their heads in. They see all of the electronics as well, so now all that's left to do is find those defenders, and they find Hills. Oda will take his head off, and so now 3 defenders remain, and Oddity are in a tight spot here to make it out of here, but Nasty is trying to even it up, and they do it even better. They take down another one, and so now it's down to a 2v3. Make that a 1v3, actually. Mims has been down. Now 20 seconds to go, and Nasty won't be able to get it done, and Ferox take out round 1.
So once again, a good beginning for Ferox. This time they were on offense and were able to deconstruct the defense of Oddity very, very well. But now they need to stick with that pace, considering that before they started the Clubhouse with a similar idea. They had a really well executed round. They had a really well executed offense, but after that, it pretty much resulted back into the trades of the rounds. And well, for Clubhouse being their own map pick, they need to ensure that they make each and every round count here, because they want here, probably the best case scenario will be a 4-2 scoreline for them to feel really, really safe for Ferox. Actually, matter of fact, three apiece draw isn't going to be a bad idea as well, considering that this is a defender-sided map.
Well, we are early days here in map 2 on Bank. We're only 1 round deep, and Ferox made that one look clean, but we've seen what, at least on Clubhouse, what it looks like when it's not quite as clean as possible, you know? They didn't get the Ajax spray and wipe and get 100% of the germs. You know, there was still a few little things here and there, and Oddity are great at picking those apart. We saw it time and time again over on Clubhouse, so keep your eyes on Ferox. I mean, you can't just see what happened in round 1 and say, oh yeah, cool, that's just going to happen again and again and again. Maybe it will, but Oddity, just wait for Ferox to crack. Oddity will find it, and they'll punish it.
My main kind of sight right now is being set here on Angmo and Hills. Angmo for the obvious reason that his roaming was very much the main reason why some of the rounds on Clubhouse were won by Oddity, and Hills for the fact that he's a warden on the server stairs, and usually a warden on the server stairs is a very dangerous person to play against, especially when you don't have a whole lot of utility drain.
Yeah, and we have seen some pretty pog plays coming out from those stairs as well, from a warden specifically too, so we might get to see it again. Very powerful operator down there. We've seen it to big success, so might happen again, and it is the difference as well between this round and the last one. See if that warden is going to be a big game changer here. 2 minutes into it, and where are we going to find Ferox moving in there? Continuing to just try and get those stairs cleared out, but we know who's down there. We know who's down there.
It's the Ned Flanders of Rainbow Six Siege, Mr. Warden himself. He will have both of the ADSs still intact and will be able to deny plentiful of those plays, but instead it looks like Ferox just decided to open up both of the hatches, actually, matter of fact, and we'll be having some really good Overwatch there as Vladdy does manage to find the shot onto Angmo. Good beginning, but still a minute 30 to go, and they still need to get clear of that, of those service stairs.
Oh, so they force Hills down the stairs, and basically he just drains out. Oh no, he pokes out, gets 1, doesn't get 2, but that's good enough for him. And so he'll be okay with that one. It's going to be Deptra to pick it up in return, but they used a lot of projectiles to take him out of there.
And that is the beauty of hold at the service stairs, because it takes so much utility out of the offense to even clear out. And with the very well cleared out defense, it's even better. So right now, Steffi will be trying to, I believe, well, he tried to open up maybe another hole in the in the hatch, but right now it's Thermite's job here, and those frag grenades are going to come in really handy, but the ADS will be eating them up. And I believe there's one more still on him, so he still might be able to dish some damage out for anyone who's sitting behind that reinforced wall, but right now that plan needs to go down.
Yeah, and well, he better hope that ADS eats up grenade because it would have killed him, but the plant is going down. Vladdy getting that one done. His teammates covering his backside, making sure that he can't get taken down, but not covering Oda's backside as he gets taken down as well. Sogs will be knocked to the floor. And now with Mims on almost no health, you've got to imagine Nasty is going to get the bulk of the work done here. 33 seconds. Does have the gas grenade and does throw it out, so might have time to find the diffuser, see if he can get it done, but now they're moving upstairs, and Deptra's going to be the one to move in, take down Mims, take down the defenders, and now it's all up to Nasty and Sogs. Sogs gets a double kill, finding Steffi, but 13 seconds, they've got to find this diffuser, they've got to look around, they found it, they've got to go down and start diffusing it any second now. They've taken out Nasty, he's the only one left, he doesn't have enough time, and he will fall down, and Ferox will take out yet another round.
That was still, even though it did come down to a 1v1 position, the team of Ferox did manage to play it out really well. They managed to get that plan down no matter what. That was a bit of a ballsy push there by Oda, who did end up going down to, I believe, a pre-fire and a smoke grenade. But nonetheless, it was very well done, and this is a very good beginning here for Ferox.
Yeah, I mean, just even at the end, it looked like already may have even been able to bring it back there, but the plant was just the absolute game changer there. Put all the pressure back onto them, and already couldn't handle it. They couldn't manage to find the clutch, find the play at the end, and with that, Ferox, for the first time tonight, actually, take 2 rounds in a row, and already opening things up pretty well here on Bank.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
Yeah, I mean, having 2 rounds in a row as an offense against Oddity is already a good beginning, but funnily enough, actually, Oddity do tend to, well, attempt to go for a repeat of this side, considering that it did end up finishing in a very unorthodox way with the defense of Oddity prompting to go for a bit of flank around with a 2-man. But hey,
take a look
maybe
at
this time they will be...
Take a look at the operators here over on Oddity, right? You've got Maestro, you've got Echo, and you've got mirrors. So that is a lot of intel you can get from all the cameras, the mirrors. I mean, there's a ton of information you can get.
There's also a ton of the anchoring potential as well, but I believe we saw somebody actually on the top floor, but I think they're already defaulted back to the side. But you are right, yes, there's plentiful amount of info gathering, there's plentiful amount of utility, and there's plentiful amount of ways to actually deny the plan, because both those Evil Eyes and the Yokai drones are going to be a massive issue for Ferox to deal with.
I mean, not to mention as well the 3 smoke bombs. You got tons to go through. So once again, oh no! Oh, he body blocked his own flashbang. Oh, that looks way more funny than it should have been, but it is just 1 flashbang down, so it's going to be even more expensive to get down through these stairs to take over it and get through past the defenders. You can, they know someone's there. They're going to have to deal with it.
Oh yeah, they most certainly will have to deal with it, and right now they need to ensure that that is going to be a clinical push, because otherwise this will be pretty much the end of the push for Ferox. They need to make sure that that smoke is going to be off the board, as now they're fully aware from that drone.
Yeah, so with that smoke down, it does run out, so at the end of the day it doesn't really buy too much, but maybe just trying to mind game here a little bit. Oddity.
I am curious here if there's actually anyone at the actual servers push, and if not, it could be a really good pincer move here if Ferox can coordinate it well enough and time it well enough, because that grenade can work out really well. That gas grenade will be delaying so much more time, and right now the push needs to happen. They need to take control of that server stairs very quickly.
Well, they do buy a ton of time. That frag goes down and does actually take out Nasty as he goes flying by.
Okay.
A great way to open things up, but they've got a minute to go. Do they have enough time to get in? No more smoke bombs to worry about, so that's already a great start. So they might be able to do it in 50 seconds, but losing a member there is not going to be a great way to keep it going.
Attackers have dropped the bomb diffuser.
Yeah, right now with the overall situation here, this is not looking all well. Albeit Sogs is out of bounds and way out of the map, but right now the push needs to happen. They need to be mindful about that Maestro pushing back, as right now he is just about to go in for the peak. And well, with 30 seconds here, things are definitely not looking all ideal here.
They need to get Steffi down to go for the plant as well. I'm sure he's close, but Stick finds Hills, so that's a great way to open it. And now 2v2 again. We've got Steffi down here. He's got almost no health though. He picks up the kill. Oda finds it, and Ferox will win a 3rd round in a row.
Okay. Just as I was about to pretty much write off Ferox from this round, they were able to go in full overdrive and just go in for the full aggression mode, and that is... I'm speechless, honestly, here, Smite. Just the sheer ferocity that they went in with was able to secure them the round.
Yeah, and it feels like a different game almost, right? I mean, Ferox have just, yeah, they won a good amount of rounds over in Clubhouse, but coming in here, they're just looking dominating. They're winning the rounds, maybe not, you know, flawlessly, but it's looking like they are the stronger team. It's looking like they can consistently win at least these attack rounds each single round, and so they're certainly looking like the stronger team. They've certainly turned something around between the maps, so that break has done them wonders, and they may be able to bring us to Game 3.
Yeah, they just might be able to if they keep at it and say close this half out with 4-2 scoreline. This is going to be a great beginning for them to push this into map 3, considering that on defense things are going to be looking much more confident, considering that, well, Bank, like we mentioned before, was not really played as much as Oddity probably would have wanted for their homework, but when it will be going to Villa, oh boy, it will be a meat grinder for both of those teams.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, and that is going to be fun to watch for sure. If we get there, Oddity can bring it back, but they certainly have to turn things around. Maybe not in this half, but the second half has to be probably a lot better. Although they may just bring back 3 rounds in a row in this half, and we don't know. But let's take a scope of what's going on here. I mean, you've got Oddity running very similar operators again. There's no Warden this time though, but they're still running things like Smoke and Echo. Pretty standard stuff. Things haven't changed for Ferox really either. They've still got a lot of stuff breach. They've got tons of it actually. Steffi T on that IQ, finding a lot of electronics, although running in there completely in the open, Deptra just gets taken out.
And this will slow down Steffi T's push quite substantially as well. He does reveal his position, as we won't be seeing any Yokai drones, but right now, a push from Stick, rather, will be shutting down Sogs, so a good trade overall, but right now the control of the garage needs to be taken, but Hills will be keeping it very much in his favor. Yeah,
Hills the absolute gatekeeper down there in the garage, just making sure no one gets through, and he does his job flawlessly. So now 3 attackers remain. No more IQ and no more Capital. That's a lot of firepower now gone for a lot of fights. At least they still have tons of their breach though, so all the options to get into the sites are still there. Question is how safely can they do it. Oh no, he walked around. How did he not die there?
Wait.
Stick stays alive.
And, not for long though.
Yeah, it's not for very long. He's not really saved, but I can't believe he lived that long. But Aang as well will pick that one up, and now with only 2 attackers left, this might be what already brings it back, but a breach down through the hatch. Still half the round to go. It's a 2v4.
Time to ring some ears.
Yeah, with a minute and just under 20 seconds to go, Ferox's chances of finding this round win definitely dwindling as yet another kill is made by Oddity here. Vladdy to go down, and all up to Oda to try to clutch this out, or at the very least find some frags at the end of the round before he will be going down, because, well, let's admit it, 1v4 doesn't really look too favorable here.
Yeah, 1v4, full utility on Smoke. You've got everything to stop one guy trying to come in and take you all out. So imagine we're just going to wait out these 45 seconds. So now we can cast our mind ahead to what it looks like in the next round. Now that Oddity, we finally get that round where they get those early frags. They punish mistakes on Ferox very heavily. And it works out very well for them. I mean, look at it, 4v1. I mean, you can't really ask for better results than that as they go in to make it a 4v0. Where those are the best results.
Yeah, 4v0 would have been a really nice beginning, but hey, a 3-round difference so far has been definitely a really good showcase here for Ferox, and even if they will end up losing the 3 rounds in a row here, they are still going to be feeling fairly confident going into the defense, considering that, well, you want at the very least a even ground to kick things off for yourself, and already just managed to showcase here is if you're able to shut down those initial pushes, you can win the round pretty much, because you thwart any kind of momentum that opposing team could have had, and, well, Ferox weren't able to find any response back onto that defense of the garage.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think just getting that first win is just good for so many things. I mean, first, obviously getting the point on the board is great, but shutting momentum down, feeling good about yourself, saying, hey, look, guys, we can still look like we did back on Clubhouse. We can still win these rounds pretty hard. So it does feel great to have finally get that proof there with that 1 point. So with that, we do get to go on again, see if there's going to be any operator changes coming up. It looks like Castle's going to be locked in. Another one that's probably going to be just used to funnel the defenders in. Does it have anything to do with the site that they've chosen for picking Castle?
For a certain point, yes, it does actually have something to do with it, considering that Castle, his utility is great for 2 things. One, to drain the breaching utility that the offense can have, and 2 is to give some more safe space for a short time for the defenders to move around. So, say you can use the Castle barricade here on the admin doorway to extend essentially your anchoring position to not only just the tellers and archives, you can also have the admin office to be utilized as another anchoring position, another safe peeking position as well. So there are multiple ways of utilizing him, but in this very scenario, it seems that already are going to be bringing in some massive vertical play and just denying some basic entry into some of the smaller positions that Ferox can utilize as those footholds.
Yeah, and then Ferox, you look at their operator lineup, and well, that is a lot of breach to say the least. However, they're going to be certainly relying on that thermite to get through any castle barricades. So Vladdy, going to have to stay alive, going to have to protect the precious little Rainbow Six Siege player, make sure that he doesn't go down. And so with that, that's going to be on the minds for Ferox as they go into this next attack here.
For that matter, really, they need to keep as many of their operators alive as possible, because Deptra, Steffi, and Oda are going to be the big ones also to dispose of any attempt for Oddity to deny any kind of push, any soft breach. So they need to be very much lenient here with their pushes, and they need to be very, well, they need to make them really calculated to just pretty much not lose any gunfights. But here's that the first one will be going down into the favor of Ferox, so a good beginning to kick things off onto Hills. And Oda finding a kill onto Sog, so that is already a extremely well executed beginning for the round, considering that that is the control of the top floor fully taken.
But yeah, and now with that, just going to sledge right through all those castle barricades, and with that, a C4 right through the floor will bring one back for Oddity, taking out Stick. That IQ is now gone, so there's still a mute jammer in Nasty's pocket, actually, so you can even just pop it out and they won't know where it is. And now with that, I mean, Oddity are running out of things left to defend. It's not unlikely, it's not impossible, but Ferox, they've primed themselves to get a pretty clean win here. They're just going to go in, look for some peeks, see if there's anyone poking their head out. That drone is going to spot at least someone. Probably for a really good nade kill right here and now, but it's just going to be ADS instead. But he can go in, he can go through the peak and just shoot him through the floor instead. You know what? That does just as good a job.
And it was actually Oda, was it Oda? Yeah, it was Oda with the SMG-11. So a good beginning for the final push, as Angmo and Nasty are going to be the last man standing with 40 seconds to go. Things are starting to look a little bit dicey for them, but that flank, that flank by Nasty could be huge if it can be executed well.
Yeah, that flank and the fact that Oda has almost no health, so if they can just pop him off before he can even turn around, that's great. Oddity also have 20 seconds. Time's on their side, but the numbers on their team are not. Nasty is the last one standing. He's got a good position above, but he better not let any defenders know where he is, because they will shoot his shoes off. Deptra gets the plant down. Steffi and Oda, both low. It's going to be all on Nasty to find these kills from above, and he's got to do it very quickly. He's got about 30 seconds to do it and still get to the diffuser in time. And now he knows he's got to jump down. He knows he's got to do something risky. The question is, does he go for it? Because of course, this is still doable.
He just learned as well about the position of Oda, who was on that SMG and he was pretty low, but instead it will be rather Deptra finding information onto Nasty and claiming a 4th round for his team, and that is a very well executed push. I mean, I keep on saying this over and over again, and I keep repeating the same word, very well executed push, but this is the prime time of Ferox's attack, and they are demonstrating such good coordination for themselves against Oddity right now, albeit that they did lose the first map, but maybe they already were calculating for it. Maybe they kind of halfway through the map said, well, heck it, maybe we'll just let the first map play out, but we'll make the big comeback on map 2 and push it into map 3.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, they were pretty up there in map number 1, and it could have gone either way. So you could say that Ferox looked just as strong there, and maybe just, you know, 1 or 2 more rounds looked a little bit better for Oddity. So with that, though, we're still here on Bank, and we still got to think about the rest of this round. It's the final round of the half as well, so we get to see for the final time what Oddity look like on defense. If they can round it out, as we all know, a 5-1 half can be devastating to go against. It sets Ferox up to just take us to map 3 really quickly, and Oddity's comeback here on Bank begins now.
I mean, looking at the scoreline as well, 6 kills each for Oda and Deptra already, showing that they are popping off here for their team, whereas Vladdy having a bit of a drawback in his play. Same goes for Steffi a little bit, but both of those players, well, mainly Vladdy, he was the one that kind of fallen back to a bit of a more of a support player position, so frags wouldn't be meaning as much, but for Steffi, Mans was pretty much shut down on a great variety of moments within half of the plays, and well, he did make it work where it mattered on some of the pushes, and that's pretty much what matters. And oh, Nasty, no, he's about to go down. He's not having a fun time as he is already down to just barely about 10 health.
And Deptra as well. I mean, he doesn't waste any time either. He gets his 7th kill. We'll take out Hills on another side of the map as well. So you've got Nasty on basically no health. Maestro is now off the table. So, you know, with Hills gone, you're not going to get a whole lot more intel. At least you still have the Echo. At least you still have something. But that's still a 1-man advantage. It's still a ton of time for Ferox. One of your operators is still on barely any health. It's basically perfectly set up for Ferox, just like that. But Deptra, I mean, he cleans up Nasty, so it was the easiest one to take out, but a kill is a kill.
Oh man, yeah, it's at the moment right now, things are starting to get heated up. With Nasty gone, that is also a C4 off the board, so now all up to Mims to try to get some of the push denial until Sogs' Yokai drones will start coming into play. And man, right now this is gonna get really close. Even with the 2-man advantage, Oddity have got the positioning and they still have plentiful amount of utility, because yes, Nasty went down, yes, Hills went down, but both of the utilities have been already placed.
Yeah, well, the thermite charge does go down, and there's one defender in the room looking right at that big hole that just opened up in his wall. And so on the other side, by the way, Aang does get down, but Sogs will get the revenge on that one to bring Steffi down as well. So that's going to feel pretty good, but you still can't really be affording to lose anyone at this point. They're going to go for the rush in onto the site now. They've got the diffuser here, I believe. Yeah, there he is on Vladdy. And no, they lose Vladdy as well. And with that, Oddity might be bringing it back. It's now down to a 1v1. Aang with the lower health, but Stick. Oh, Stick. You can always trust in Stick.
Stick doesn't forgive. He just hunts you down no matter what. Even if it's a 1v1, he will find that shot and he will end your roam and curb it. So 5-1 scoreline, that is huge here for Ferox, considering that their first half during Clubhouse was very much leaving much to be deserved of. So much to be desired of. That's the word. Sorry. English is hard a little bit, but
that's all right.
I mean, that is a fantastic turnout here, especially on attack. Out of all the things, it would have been a slightly less amazing if it was on defense, but attack on bank, that is showing that Ferox did manage to recover from that play. And right now, them going onto onto defense could essentially push this into, say, 6-1, maybe 6-2, and will by then it will be a very hard task for Oddity to come back from, considering that they will be having that match point text looming over them pretty much every round from there on.
Yeah, honestly, it feels like from the get-go, Ferox just has bank on the lockdown, and you know, at least on attack. We've got to still see them on defense, but we've always talked about how a lot of teams prefer the defense, and it's a lot easier to make a few less mistakes there. And so, with that, I mean, we could see Ferox very quickly, like you said, just win the next 2 rounds, send us all the way to map 3 very quickly. We could see Oddity claw it back. The last time we saw a 5-1 scoreline out of the half went to overtime. So, you know, anything can happen, but I mean, how many times can you rely on that happening again?
Yeah, I mean, we've said it throughout the whole league pretty much, that you can't really base off your clutches and base off your plays off some of the just 1v1 plays or 1vx's, really. But here, really, both of those teams have that very potential of just having and pushing this into big clutch plays. And right now, Oddity are being extremely aggressive on taking the ground as quickly as possible and not to waste any time before they can start going in for the breaches.
Yeah, they're actually going through this very quickly, and you can see the drones coming along too, wanting to waste no time at all. So Ferox better be on their guard for now. I mean, they still have a good amount of utility to go, and they still have, you know, Deptro is probably still hanging around the place, ready with a shotgun. So actually, he's not running the shotgun, don't worry. But it's yeah, he's hanging out on the stairs there. You can see once again, we know how annoying it is to get someone out of these stairs, how easy it is to defend, and how much time you can just buy for your team.
Yeah, right now the big also pressure here is coming out on Mims as well, who is pushing, I believe, on the main stairs, and with all the pressure being applied from the 2 sides, really, Oddity might be looking at a really early openings here, and this could be a really good start for their potential comeback here, considering 1-5 scoreline is not something they usually come back from, but we've seen a plentiful of times where teams were able to make that comeback within LPL Pro Series.
Yeah, but I mean, 1 minute 20, and these guys are still standing at the stairway door, and they can't find their way in. I mean, they're eventually gonna have to just go in and try to take him out. Of course, I believe if it is Deptra hanging around there, then you can't just flash him out. He's got the ADS as well, so just look at how much they have to throw in here. There's also the barrier behind it too, so you gotta waste time. That it's not a huge amount, but Deptra pops out, gets members at some point, so now they're still stuck on these stairs. They've lost an attacker. It's 4v5, and you've got less than a minute. Now they have to go out.
Oh, no,
Deptra pops out.
No.
Hello? Deptra? Oh no!
Okay.
What did he get? Did he get his kill?
No, he did deny the kill for Oddity, so they won't be getting the kill credit, but he was able to take 2 players off before he went down, which is huge here, considering that right now Nasty is still tumbling around on the main stairs, and with all the pushes coming out, Hills actually does manage to find a shot onto Oda. So, but with 18 seconds, there's not a whole lot of things to be done, and right now there's the element of being in a hurry, and that continuous hurry is going to be there, and Nasty is not even close to his team.
Yeah, and you can see how much they're hurrying. Sogs held his breath to just go in and get the thermite charge down. He goes for the diffuser, but it's just immediately has his teammates ripped away from him, and then Ferox come in and close in and take him out here in the end as the time runs out.
And that echo as well at the end. If not for the echo, it would have been a successful plant for Oddity, and after that, the timer would have been ticking against Ferox, but they were able to deny that, and they were able to pretty much shut things down very, very swiftly. So right now, Ferox looking like they just might be able to get that swift and sweet revenge here against Oddity after that first map. So Executive Lounge and CEO, so we're not there yet. Oddity can still very much pull a 5-round comeback, push this into overtime, and win the map number 2, which is mildly unlikely, but it's still on the board. Ferox, this is their prime chance. They bring it in, they're busting out some of the bit of a wild decision, bringing a Clash instead of Castle, and bringing in a Doc for some more aggressive and long-range plays, but against Oddity, I can actually see this potentially working out.
Yeah, it's gonna look very different, and it's interesting to bring out here on match point. Although, if there's ever a time where you've got the most kind of the biggest safety net, it's when you're on match point, 5 rounds ahead. You can afford to drop around here or there. I certainly wouldn't recommend it for sure, but if you're ever going to try something out new in a pro match, then you can go ahead and do it here. Of course, this will be practice and scrims, of course, but on the actual stage, it's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Ferox, they just want to close it out. Tumbling around with some of the rounds is not the ideal place, and well, Vladdy certainly doesn't want to tumble around at all. Hills to go down, and that is the IQ out of all the players. That's gonna hurt a whole lot, considering that you can't have any more of that safe kind of utility disposal, really, for the attack.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder how on earth Oddity are going to get this one done. They're going to have to find some excellent frags. You're going up against shield operators. You've got Doc on the other side as well, so it's going to be very annoying. But Aang does get it started. He does find Deptra of all people, so Mozzie now off the table. Probably would have liked to be something like, the Doc to take him away, no more healing. But that said, though, you'll take Deptra out any day of the week.
Yeah, with Deptra being on on double digits, is definitely a good time to take him out. But right now, so much play and so much utility is there for Ferox, just like Oddity as well. So it's still very much of an even fight. And with a roam coming out, Mims is completely clueless, but does manage to flick onto Stick, and that is not what you want to have right now as a defense. As well as that, Nasty does find a very nice long shot, and the Oddity just managing to demolish things left, right, and center right now.
Oddity just, within the space of about 20 seconds, they find several members of Ferox just either not paying attention, not looking in the right direction, or some combination of it. They punish them super hard. They get those 2 kills pretty easily. Now they're primed to go in and go for the defuse. Yeah, there's still 2 defenders left, but one of them is Oda. He's got a shield. And Steffi T is about to die. So Oda, 1v3, go hit him as hard as you can with the shield, but at the end of the day, it's going to be very hard to take this one out. Oddity winning a very much needed round.
Yeah, so pushing it into 6-2 scoreline now, shortening the distance between their scoreline and Ferox's scoreline. Definitely going to be making a bit of a foothold there for Oddity's potential beginning for a comeback, but there's still plenty of road to go through. You need still 4 points to go with. And with Telos Office and Archives, this is going to be one of those tertiary sites where, in theory, you're bound to really lose here for Ferox. So maybe this is going to be yet another throwaway round, and they will be waiting for yet another CCTV and lockers. But again, not really advisable.
So how do you make Teller's Office and Archives work? I mean, it's a tertiary site. Sure, you don't want to really do it, but sometimes you just gotta. I mean, what do you do to make this one work as best you can? For
this one, you definitely need some really, really heavy top floor defense. You need to set up it almost as if you are defending the CEO and meeting, as if it is the real site. But also don't forget to have some info gathering, something like cameras or even bulletproof cameras or yokai drones to be left on site. So should the rush to be successful, you still have the vertical play where you are able to deny the plant. So
10 seconds left.
For Ferox here, they are doing just about that. And bringing in a Vigil is a little bit of a question mark for me, but with Stick, I mean, he was the one who was able to clutch out a fair few rounds, and with him being a Vigil and being able to hide away from those drones, he's going to be probably in a much more favorable position here.
Yeah, look, if Stick can make it work, he can really make it work in some of these rounds, and Vigil's just someone who unlocks a playstyle like that, so keep your eyes on him later on in the round to see if the roam does pay off, but here we go, Oddity going in, again, another must-need round, fighting to just stay alive in this game here. And now, With that, they're gonna go ahead and try and take. Oh no, these shots through the skylight could have been really good, but doesn't even tags maybe his pinky toe with that. Loses a little bit of health.
Yeah, so Deptra did manage to run away mostly scot-free from that initial attempt at engagement, but for now, IQ's already inside of the building, well, somewhat. And right now, Oddity are going to try to do in their absolute best to deny all of that utility, to deny all of the ADSs, and, well, here is just at the moment, it's a bit of a calm before the storm as the C4, first C4 from Ferox is being used to no avail.
Well, yeah, and so that's big plant denial now, not on the table. Hills, though, finding Steffi. That's a great way to start things off, though. 5v4 now, and Oddity starting to crawl back. Starting their way onto the site here, but still having to drone out, still having to get a little more information. And it's not quite done yet, even with Steffi T gone. All his ADS is still sitting around the place. He's already done that part of his job, he just won't be able to run around the rope.
I am curious as to where is Stick right now, because he was last seen at the bottom floor around CCTV, and if he's still there on the roam, he could, in the late game, come in very handy here for Ferox's defense, because right now the remaining roster has defaulted back to the site, so they're just waiting for all the aggression to come out on the ground floor.
Yeah, so basically, if you're a Ferox fan here and you want him to win, keep your eyes on Stick. Make sure that he comes in the final seconds to roam in and make a big play, because he has to here with his team down a man, 42 seconds. And this floor is no more, as Nasty has his way with it, just to find a way through the floor, just to find a way to get one extra frag before going in for that final push at 30 seconds. Now, they basically have no other choice but to go in and find that plant. Deptra punishes them for it, though, taking out Mims, taking out Hills, and now they should have maybe found a way in earlier. Maybe it was why it took them so long, but Sogs does get one back in the end onto Oda, and with 15 seconds to go, he does get down for it. And now 2 people left for Oddity to get in 10 seconds to get the diffuser down and plant it. I think Ferox might have done it. I think they might have done it. Winning round 9, winning bank, and moving us to map number 3. Let's go to Villa.
Oh, yes, Smite. 7-2. Now, that is a much cleaner performance here between those two teams. Ferox cleaning house and making it a clinical performance here for themselves. I mean, comparative to what we saw in Clubhouse, this is a bigger improvement here for that team. Whereas for Oddity, things just didn't start off really well from the very beginning. I mean, they were losing out on their defense plays. They were unable to find really a whole lot of round streaks, and they were able to find only a single round on defense and then 1 round on offense, really. And that is pretty much about it.
Yeah, it felt like Ferox has just tightened up everything that went wrong in Clubhouse and just came out thundering in map number 2. But we have one more to go to. It's going to be Villa. We're going to have to wait through the break to get to that one, guys. So stick through the break, wait a few minutes, and we're going to have the final game of the day, and we'll see you there.
This is just clinical.
Kia ora Aotearoa, and welcome to the Wellington Paranormal COVID-19 Crisis Communication Command Centre /T-Room. Now that the COVID-19 alert status has moved to level 4, everyone should be at home isolating.
O'Leary,
Minogue, what are you doing? You're supposed to be here helping with this?
I'm home isolating. The problem is, I think my home is haunted.
You don't need to worry about ghosts. They can't infect you, they don't have bodies.
Well, that's not a risk I'm prepared to take, is it? You keep on doing your talky thing.
Anyway, home isolation is now compulsory and vital in stopping the spread of COVID-19. So blimmin' stay home. And if you do need to make contact with others when out getting supplies, keep a distance of at least 2 metres. The crew has.
O'Leary, can you hold me 2 metres away?
My arm's not that long.
It's short.
It's not short, it's just not 2 meters long. I don't think your arm's 2 meters long either, to be fair.
Wow. So stay in, stay well, and keep your distance. Especially from ghosts.
And don't be the one to pass it on. I think that's 2 meters.
A bit more. A bit more.
And welcome back, everyone. And Villa is the name of the day here as we jump into the final map of today. It's Ferox versus Oddity, and we get to go to map 3. We just saw Ferox crush Bank. And I don't mean like, you know, they got out their pepper grinder and just crushed a bit of pepper. No, they got out their sledgehammer, got the caber out, and just demolished that map. I mean, they dropped a few rounds here, but even in the rounds that they dropped, I felt like they were just trying to do some weird things.
Yeah, I mean, we saw one of the rounds being dropped whilst they were already on match point, and it was very much of an experimental round. But honestly, it was so clean of a performance from Ferox, especially on their offense. They were just clinically were able to isolate one person at a time, going for the push for the most of it. There were some of the more rather chaotic rounds that we saw where they just went in for a full-on rush onto the side in the last moments and were able to find the kills. But even then, they were the ones who were dictating the pace through and through. Whereas Oddity just, after that map number 1, after that 5-7 in their favor, couldn't really find any kind of any pace for themselves. They couldn't find any closure for themselves.
All right, well, Cthulhu, we now move on to Villa. So let's talk about last time we saw these teams on Villa, right? It was a few weeks ago. It was 8-7. So it literally went to round 15. It could not be any closer. So again, it's just all we've got is that these two teams are really close. But we said that about Bank as well, and we know how close that one was. So I think we can kind of move this a little bit aside, and all we can say is that both teams will know each other's play style on this map. And speaking of that, let's talk about these play styles that you'll see on Villa. What are people looking to do here?
Well, with Villa, you mainly want to have some really good, some really prevalent solo or duo roaming for defense, and then you have some anchors to play it out. And then on the offense, you want some really explosive gameplay. You want to take the control of some of the key positions very quickly, very swiftly, and if both of the teams can acknowledge that, if they can pull it off, then we're going to be seeing some really saucy rounds.
So you're telling me that we might be in for a treat like a bloodbath?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it will be a bloodbath, and I'm pulling it on every round.
Well, you know what? Like, I'm keen for a bloodbath. Let's get into it. Let's go over onto Villa and see what a bloodbath is truly going to look like. Is it going to be as close as we saw on map number 1? Is it going to be as close as last time we saw these guys on this map? Or is it going to look like Bank, where Ferox just demolish?
Well, Ferox are going to be starting on attack, which is similar to Bank, so maybe this could be a big hint here. But it all depends on how the bans will work out here as well, considering that Capitao is the one to be banned out, and he was untouched in the ban phase in the previous 2 maps.
Yeah, which was really interesting because he's pretty much always banned in other games, and so the fact that he got through not 1 but 2 maps is kind of surprising. He was picked up in pretty much every round, so makes no surprise to see him banned here out by Oddity. So Nomad also going to go the way of the ban as well, just like in map number 2. So no more Nomad, a popular pick, but just a little too strong for someone over on Oddity for Ferox to really be happy with.
Yeah, Ferox were not particularly happy because Nomad was able to shut down any kind of chances of roam, and it's a very valid reason to really ban out Nomad. Same goes for Mozzie, albeit that it was mainly used by Ferox, I believe, as Oddity. I think they saw it 1 or 2 times, but not a whole lot more after that. And then Pulse to close things out pretty much has been the stock standard ban throughout this whole matchup from map number 1, really.
Yeah, they just don't want to deal with it again. You can clearly see they banned it all 3 maps, but that leaves a lot of things open. Thatcher, for the first time, is going to be available. As you can already see, Ferox is keen to think about picking him up. I mean, Maestro's also up. There's tons of great operators that are currently available, so just those ones are going to be picked up for now, but I expect to see more as the rounds go on.
Biggest question for me right now is the living room and library. That is the least picked site to play off, and it's probably the most controversial one, considering that you need to play it similar to how you play Tales of Office and Archives in Bank. You need to play it very vertically, top-down. Control definitely needs to be in place, and well, Castle for that very play could play out really well, but instead Sogs will actually be using those castle barricades to generate some more walking space on the ground floor, which is not a bad idea at all. That piano room is a very powerful position to play off.
Yeah, and if you can just funnel the attackers down through wherever you want, then it just makes it very easy to just hunker down, anchor down, and take them down as they walk into your line of sight. But of course, we all know that people can get through some of these walls, so we'll see how that ends up for them. But you take a look at what Ferox are bringing to the table, and they got a pretty decent amount of breach coming in with the Buck, but is it going to be enough? They've got Habana for the harder breach. But yeah, along with that Thatcher is what I'm real interested to see. How much of these EMP grenades are going to be able to shut down Oddity?
Yeah, Thatcher been pretty much left out from the playground throughout the first two maps, but now finally he'll get to shine here. And well, with the amount of utility that has currently been brought in on board by Oddity, it doesn't look like a whole lot. You have technically 3 of those utilities that are electronic, and well, only 2 of them are very much the ones that need to be disposed of, and those EMP charges are going to be very well doing that very thing. So for now, to kick things off, it is going to be Stick on the Jackal, who will be starting to do some tracking, and there's no vertical presence, which is probably the most interesting thing to me right now.
Yeah, so not really going with the suggested playstyle, so they're just going to sit back and let them come down onto the ground floor here, but you know, you can see they're starting to move forward, and eventually we're going to start getting one of these fights going as the breaches are starting out, and Oda will get taken out by Mims over on the other side of the map. And so with that, the attack starts to crumble a little bit.
Yeah, that is not a good beginning, considering that it is Buck of boards. That is one of your main salt breaches gone. I'm not too sure what Stick was trying to go in for the pre-fire there, but Deptra does manage to find some trade there. So Nasty to go down, not only it's a very good loadout, it is also a C4 off board, so good beginning.
Yeah, and now we're starting to breach from above, and just like you were saying, that vertical play is going to start coming into effect very soon. Starting to just... yeah, just merely the...
You can bash it down, almost there. There we go. Okay.
Took a while,
Sogs
but there it is. And
yeah, Sogs was very much ready for that engagement and did manage to damage Deptra quite substantially, so for the next firefight he will be very much at a disadvantage. But right now, looking at Oddity's roster, everything seems to be very nice and healthy, and right now they're not going to be letting things run away, as Hills and Ang actually pick up a kill each. So now all up to Steffi and Deptra, and one of those players is very heavily damaged, and well, with a crossfire in place, Angmo is going to be taking out Deptra, all up to the Thatcher player of Steffi T.
yeah, Steffi looking to make the hero play there. Unfortunately, too many members have already left. Sogs will clean him up at the end of the day, where they'll take out round number 1. And so, with that, I mean, that was the site that we had some questions on. Maybe this might be one that might be a bit harder to defend, but Oddity did it in the end, and they did it with most of their team left at the end of the day. And so now we move on to Dining Room and Kitchen. How different is this? Is this an easier site to defend?
Well, generally it is, yeah, comparative to Living Room and Library, just for the sheer fact that Dining Room does allow you to have a bit more of a turtle-like strat. Even with the minimal presence up above, you can still do quite some damage to the offensive side. And well, with the current lineup of the defensive operators that I can see, well, really, we just might see maybe 1 to 2 roamers in face of Legion and Jaeger. So that is Sogs and Ang. And then the rest of the remaining roster will be kind of on-site slash close by, playing off-site, say in living room or library for that matter. So probably the big end-game playmaker here within this round is going to be Mims, so he'll need to stay alive for his yokai drones at the very least to deny some of the plans. Otherwise, I mean, Oddity has 2 of those C4s on Nasty and Hills that can be extremely deadly, considering that as a recent patch it's literally pretty much a nuclear warhead. And with the impact grenades on Sogs, he should be able to deny the breach onto the east wall that is in the dining, which is also one of the main entrances for the attack to go through.
Okay, we'll see if they do go through that attack as they move in now into the action phase and getting up nice and close and seeing what we can find from them here. I mostly just want to see what angle they take, what approach they take onto the site. You can already see that they're just going to go through these windows for now, just seeing if they can find anything, seeing if they can locate any defenders. Intel going to be key right now.
Oh yeah, Intel is most definitely going to be key, and Ren, if that drone had somebody following up as well, that could have been a pretty quick and easy kill onto Angmo, considering that his attention was very much put onto that drone and denying it any more information. So for now, it's rather just stick, finding just firm position at the exit from the trophy and statuary, which he will be forfeiting in a little bit, but that does put some pressure onto the Jaeger, who needs to now either make an escape or try to take those firefights, which does certainly look like he might just be taking those firefights, and for a valid reason.
Okay, and oh no, through the window, easily picked up. Oda finds that kill onto Aang. Aang, a very good person to take out right now. Roaming Jaeger off the table is a big sigh of relief. Now they're going to approach the stairs and go for the pre-fires. They don't find anyone down there just yet, but there's certainly more defenders down there, as they are, I'm sure they're very aware, so they're going to just go digging through the floor now.
But getting rid of Angmo is right now a very huge thing, considering that he was through and through a very prominent appearance in the previous map, albeit that even then Oddity were not able to take some of the plays, but ooh, C4 from below, a good beginning here for Hills. Nice frag, and that is one of the, actually that is the second C4 gone off board with finally connecting onto Steffi T.
Yeah, and now there's not a whole lot that Oddity have left if we see Ferox go into the push. At least they've got 4 people left, so they can go for a bit of an even fight, but you can see that Ferox are rearing up to go in for the entry. As you can see the time. Oh no, he fell off! What are you up to? And Oda and Sogs are going to get a trade apiece, but someone's going to go up and pick up Deptra. Don't jump off as well though, because then you'll both be down there completely down. But oh man, that's a whole lot of time that you cannot afford to be wasting right now.
And with that said as well, Stick is the one that is the only one that is holding an angle and will be finally starting to drop down, as the fusion needs to be picked up here by Oda, and the Slack as well, for that matter, as Deptra is now going to be trying to make some flank plays happening, as I don't think it is being expected. There's a nice peek, but oh no, the health disadvantage is definitely not in favor there. Hills will be traded out as Oda finds a quad kill right now. 5 seconds needs to go, the plant needs to happen. Sogs is just offside, and oh no. No, for Ferox. They will be losing out, as Oddity will be able to finally find themselves the first round on the lead after the first map.
That got a little close for Oddity there. I mean, yeah, they had the time on their side for sure, but a few stray bullets from Oda could have easily brought that one back into them. It's lucky that, well, not lucky, but you know, good for them that they managed to pick up the kill just in time as he was rounding the corner. But there it is. 2 rounds now over to Oddity. Their defense is looking very solid. They're going to go for Vigil again this time, throwing Sogs onto that one as well, or maybe not. Of course, it's the one that I bring up is going to be the one that they change. Wouldn't be a caster if it didn't happen.
I mean, hey, sometimes the caster curse works, sometimes it doesn't. Well, just gotta pray that neither of us are as cursed on that one as heavily.
No, you gotta predict and talk about opposite things. It might sound very disorienting, but then we'll never be wrong. Or one of us won't be.
Well, yeah, exactly. One of us will be, but hey, for now, it's been so far a fairly prominent advantage for Oddity. I mean, 2 points in a row on the defense is certainly looking like a very nice beginning, but
10 seconds remaining.
main question, at least for me here, is can Ferox find their foot back into this play, considering that they had such an uplifting game on map number 2, but so far being completely shut down on any attempt of push.
I feel like round 2 just went kind of sloppy for Ferox, right? I mean, they made silly mistakes that did burn them down a lot of time. We even saw at the end that the time could have been the difference. And so, again, like, we just have to see another round where it looks a little more normal, a little more normalized here on round number 3. Of course, just basically look for a round where Ferox don't have anyone falling off the top of a building, and you might have a different story.
Could very much be the case. Angmo doing the very same drop down where he got punished, but this time very much earlier. As I believe he's not spotted yet. He's there's one of the players that is currently standing up above on one of the railings and can actually be potentially ignored by some of the drones. So if not found quickly, he will be able to punish the attack very swiftly, and that is not what you want. But the defense will be actually able to run away. So Hills, being punished with quite some damage, still will be able to live for yet another set of seconds.
I can't believe Hills got out of that alive. He just took so many bullets and managed to run away and still have more than a quarter health left. But it's important that he lived, because now that they've got 5 members, even if he's low health, he can just sit back, not get shot first, and then it doesn't matter how much health he's got. So, sure, it's not the best, but it's a hell of a lot better than just losing Hills straight out there.
Beauty of the fact that he's still alive as well is that he can technically still bandit trick some of those reinforced walls, and that is going to be a huge time waster here for Ferox as well, if not handled with care. So right now, Oda just being patient, wants to find that frag. He wants to find that opening kill. There it is. There's the shot onto Angan. Fantastic reaction, might I add. As now, Ferox will be once again finding themselves in a man advantage.
Yeah, Oda and Ang were both waiting around the corner for that for so long, so they were both very ready. You can imagine the reaction is going to be quick to the trigger, but the important thing is that Oda managed to secure it, get Ang down, and importantly do it without losing any health themselves. So with that, they're basically primed to go, and they've got full health on everyone. They've got all 5 operators. Hills is injured. Basically, they just want to run down some utility. Deptra getting that Claymore into Hills, even though he was low health, he still had a bandit battery, I believe. So even he, actually it was his stick that's laughing at it, but there we go. They run in and they clean up the last few kills, and yeah, they move in and take out all the defenders.
So that was a much cleaner performance, albeit it had a bit of a stutter there at the very beginning where Hills was able to run away after being droned out fully and given a call for the attacker. So still very well done, some good shots, and that grenade I'm assuming from Oda from either the aviator doorway or maybe from the wall at the vault did manage to push things very much in favor of Ferox. So their first point here is going to be on round number 3, and now going into trophy and statuary, this is where it's probably going to make a whole lot of difference here, whether Oddity will keep up their 2-point difference, or will this be the round where Ferox will be able to even things out.
Defenders, protect your bomb.
Yeah, do we get a grand equalizer here? I mean, it would make sense in a series that has gone all the way just like this one. I mean, we were both expecting at least one overtime. Probably, we almost had it at map 1. We did it. We were going back and forth for a lot of them, but this could be the one where we get it. It was historically both teams' tightest map as well when they played against each other. It was only once, but it literally went as far as it could go. So all the way to round 15. It could come back here.
And I believe that round 15 as well ended up finalizing itself on the final second as well. So
with one person left as well.
Yeah, with one person left as well. So it was literally as close as it could have possibly gotten with the limited overtime.
Yeah, well, we might get a close one like that, but oh no, a bit of spawn peek in the area. It's just going to be a trade at the end of the day, although Oda takes a bit of damage, but it's still not quite done just yet, as they're still a bit cautious firing at the windows, but Looks like it's calmed down for now, but let's take a breath because they've lost Hibana.
Yeah, I was just about to point that out. Losing Hibana, the only Heart Breacher, is going to be huge here for the attack of Ferox, considering this is Trophy and Stature, and you need... This is one of those sites where you need that Heart Breacher, but maybe for the sake of sanities of Ferox, they might just be able to go in for the push through the Astro and then get some openings there. So, nothing is yet lost, but it's definitely going to be making things a whole lot harder here for the attack.
And did we get a peek at how many ADS Aang had already put down? Because he may have kept one in his pocket, but I imagine he probably got most of them down, at least 2. And so with that, he's still done at least a little bit of his job already as a defense. So he's got a kill, he's got his ADS down, and now 4 members of Ferox have to go into an even fight with a whole lot of ADS on top of it.
I mean, probably the worst case scenario out of that run out is that if Angmo was able to get out of that with without being traded out. So that would have been the worst case scenario for Ferox, but thankfully they were able to find it. Now, the peek from Oda is actually trying to get some closure, but Oda needs to trade this out. He does actually get the shot onto Nafla instead of Mims, so Mims is still get to stay alive with his TCSG, and that is going to be a huge one, as that weapon is extremely powerful.
Well, we still have a C4 over on Hills as well, so we can hold on to that, but we have lost, in fact, 2 members of Ferox within a second there, and Stick is the only one to remain. He does have nothing left but bullets. He's going to have to go in and rely on just aiming really good. Can he do it as he goes around the beacon corner? He's made a whole lot of noise though. 2 different angles firing upon him, and Oddity will take out round number 4.
So Oddity managed to, from the get-go, set the base into their favor. That run out pretty much was well executed by Angmo, and albeit that he did get traded out, it was still a worthy trade. Trading out your... Yeah, you'll take that. I'll take that trade any day if I'm a competitive player. Trading out your Jaeger for Hibana is huge, especially if they don't have a Thermite or a Maverick as a replacement as well in that roster. So that worked out swimmingly for Oddity. So now with the 3-1 scoreline on defense, they need to find at least one more point for themselves if they want to feel really comfortable on offense. Whereas for Ferox, they want to win those next 2 rounds. They need to equalize the round count for themselves as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and so you definitely want to feel good coming out of the half. That's for sure. I mean, that said though, I feel like momentum is probably not as impactful in this game here as it has been in other series, just because both of these teams, they played against each other tons. They know what it's like to go down against them. They know what it's like to make a massive comeback as well. I mean, Oddity did it basically now. They're still on their way because map number 2 did not go very well for them. So they're certainly bracing themselves against the momentum that Ferox had built. I mean, Ferox haven't won a map for a while now.
Yeah, that's also a valid point. I mean, Oddity just seeming to be kind of... They maybe have treated map 2 as kind of their breather rounds to kind of recuperate and get their strength and energy back in, and then to go into map number 3 with even more ferocity. I mean, that is also something that I may be kind of thinking of in the realm of reality here. But honestly, no, this has been one of their better performances here, especially against a higher end team like Ferox.
Yeah, definitely bringing it to them and showing why both of these teams have made it so far along the bracket as well. But now that we're 40 seconds deep into round number 5 here, Ferox have made a little bit of progress. They're now trying to get above the bomb sites and get the hatches blown into from above. Deptra's already taken a little bit of damage from something throughout this round, and that's not going to be good because that's only 25% health. That's maybe a bullet, and so he's going to have to sit super far back, and you don't really want to do that on someone like Zofia.
Yeah, Zofia is definitely one of the more rather aggressive operators that you would want to play from, but a misplay there by Steffi will be resulting in his demise to the hands of Angmo, and well, in a matter of just about a minute, things are not looking already also well. Albeit that the castle barricade was able to be breached much faster, but that whole idea of vertical play is certainly not working well here for Ferox.
Yeah, they're just not finding anything. If anything, Oddity are actually finding shots through the floor against them. I mean, they've already lost all their EMPs with Steffi. Deptra's dropped a whole ton of health. He's already used everything that he's got, so he's basically down to bullets again. So really, they're just got to look for these kills, and those kills are a great way to start it as Vladdy and Oda pick up one apiece. And now I'll leave the defenders with only 3 members, but again through the floor, already find one, but Vladdy also just gets the revenge kill on the hills as well, so it's still back to a 3v2. Ang and Nasty looking to hold this one out. How long can they buy the time though?
They can still most definitely buy some time. Those Evil Eyes and the C4 from Nasty can be quite deadly, considering that Deptra is very low on health, so a very well calculated pick. Could have been a big one, but right now Stick will be shutting that idea down. Nasty is the one that will be going in for the peak, but against Ash things are not looking all swell unless you're trying to whip out the SMG-11, and only then the DPS difference is going to be matched. But alas, Ferox do manage to find themselves a point against all odds really at the very beginning of that round.
Yeah, it's a shame we didn't catch the moment, but when they got the 2 kills within a second, near the end of the round when things weren't looking so good, that's when Ferox just fully turned things around, and suddenly you're looking at Oddity thinking, how did they even get to this point? But yeah, there it is. Ferox have the ability to bring things back around just like that. It was dicey, it was a bit tight, especially with some of that vertical play, but at the end of the day, they managed to get downstairs, and when you're on the same plane, then they're confident in their firefights.
Oh yeah, it certainly does look like it. Those, I mean, the peaks by Stick have been really well performed here, and Oda already on 9 kills for his team. It really does show that he very much wants to get this win in this grudge match, albeit that Steffi T unfortunately still hasn't been able to get a whole lot of success within the fragging department.
Yeah, Steffi had a pretty good map 2 when we went to Bang, but
that's
map 1 and map 3 have been a little awkward. I mean, to be fair, it's a little easier to have a good round when your team is crushing your opponents, but that said, it's not looking too hot here on Villa, which is where it matters here. None of those other maps matter anymore because it's all down to this one. And so it's got to feel a little rough, but now we go here to the final round of the first half. And Ferox really looking to even this one up. I mean, it would make the game very competitive if they could do it. It would be just like it was on map number 1.
Yeah, this is probably going to be one of the more rather important rounds to win for both of the sides here. For Oddity, they want to extend that advantage as much as possible, whereas for Ferox, they want to close that advantage, push it into a draw where it's going to be a much better position for them to defend, considering that so far defense has been seeing such a good performance overall, minus those 2 rounds so far that Oddity ended up losing due to momentum. So for now, Deptra to find a kill on Hills, that is a huge initial pick, and with Deptra losing barely any health, well, 25 health, it still poses him in a fairly even fight.
It's even bigger because Hills had 2 batteries in his pocket as well, so Ang's getting the revenge on the Deptra is great, but presumably he's probably already cleared a whole lot of electronics. Hills, though, losing those 2 batteries is just so annoying for Oddity. They can't go for any breach denial at all, and they can't even just place them down. Ang getting stick there as they start to go in. Ferox actually rushing in quite fast now as Vladdy takes down Ang to even the numbers up. It's still not even halfway through the round, and they want to go in.
That was a little bit of a messy firefight between Vladdy and Angmo, considering that Vladdy took quite some damage before being able to down Angmo. But frags-wise, I mean, looking at overall score lines, this is still favorable more or less into Ferox, albeit that health-wise, it is most definitely looking like defense might take it.
Yeah, well, time's ticking away. You've got Vladdy with not a whole lot of health either, so certainly looking like a hard uphill battle right now for Ferox. They still have 3 EMP grenades. They still have, you know, plenty of X-Kairos to make a breach, so they have the tools. The question now is, do they have the execution and the time left? Because 50 seconds isn't a whole lot of time, and Oddity have already got all of their defense down, so you don't have the time to go in and run them out, but you can find that peak. And Steffi, that's exactly what Ferox were looking for.
The other thing is Sogs used up his last impact grenade to just make a rotation hole for himself. And right now, ooh, Steffi is just on fire. He wants to get that revenge. He's thirsty for them kills. And right now, that push by Sogs will be pretty much read in. There's the peak, but oh no, Steffi T actually loses that 5-5, but the plant will be very much going down for Ferox. And well, Sogs is barely on any health.
Yeah, he's still got a lot of damage on the Sogs, but Sogs still gets one kill. It's now up to Oda, full health, 1v1. He's got to find this one, but that defuser is giving him a ticking time bomb. He's going for the counter defuse. Oda has to rush in now, and he finds it. He finds it easily enough, and he's so happy. He's bouncing. Let's call it bouncing.
Yeah, he's bouncing most definitely. That was very much though of a risky play, considering that if Lesion had a bit of a better flick, he would have won that firefight, and he would have had plenty of time to defuse, but instead, well, Oda was able to land the shot, and that was very much favorable for him. So 3 apiece scoreline on the defense of Oddity, which is setting a pretty nice picture overall for Ferox, considering that they are now on defense with a bit of a questionable offense, but that just shows how much of a defensive-sided Villa is so far between those two teams.
Oh, I mean, you might be able to call it questionable offense, but I mean, you look at the results and it gets the job done. They've got the 3-3. It's not looking as super close on some of the rounds. They can win these rounds cleanly. That one was just a little tight at the end, but you got to say though, I mean, we were maybe talking down on Steffi a little bit, but he showed up at the end there. It was a shame he didn't get the 3rd kill at the end of the day, but that said, it softened the target up enough to make it easy for his teammate to do.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Steffi was able to find that double kill that he found was pretty much the deal breaker there for Ferox to take the win. And then, yes, like you mentioned before, it did go down to a 1v1 position, but from there on, Oda was in a very powerful position to play off, even with some of the baits that were coming out from Sogs. Things did end up resulting in the win for Ferox. So right now, they did end up going for a bit more conventional side rather than what Oddity tried to pull off. It is Trophy and Statuary, and well, for Oddity, they are learning off their own plays. They are bringing in a double hard breach, which is a good idea considering that, well, if Hibana or Maverick do end up going down, they will be able to still get the breaches going.
Yeah, and so, I mean, they don't want to be victim to the same trick. They don't want to get spawn killed by someone on Ferox. Because you got to imagine Ferox are probably thinking about it. Whether they'll actually do it, we don't know. But we know that Oddity have at least given them the idea. And so, Oddity have actually got inside pretty quickly. It is the opposite side of the building, so they're going to have to clear a good amount of rooms. But Sogs is getting started early as he picks up Deptra. That's going to be a big one. Taking out the Jaeger as well, so all that roaming's out the window. Great way to
but Deptra so far wasn't one of the bigger playmakers, albeit that he's 2nd highest as kill count, but overall, it's not the worst case scenario, albeit that, yeah, man count is still going to be in play, but right now, it is up to the remainder of Ferox roster to just try to drain out the time, because right now, ooh, so much damage is being dealt to Mims, and he is a bit clueless as to where that damage came from.
Yeah, although Angmo has taken down Vladdy, so with 3 defenders remaining, this is probably a pretty clean push here for Oddity if they can just take the next few steps. They've done it pretty quickly. Still a minute to go, so they've got the time to go in. You look at the firepower that's left for Ferox and what they can really hold out. They've got a lot of intel, that's for sure. Doc is going to be able to clean up any small mistakes, but other than that, they're just relying on their guns at this point.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what Siege is still all about at the end of the round. It's still all down to the gunfights, even with so much utility being brought on board. 5 versus 3, and like you said, things are not looking all pretty. Oda, to kick things off into the final push, will be finding the shot onto Angmo. without being punished too much. And there's another shot as well, making it a 3v3, but a very swift swing in by Hills, and Sogs will be finding some closure. And well, now it is a 2v1 situation with Stick still being able to buff himself up with that stim gun.
Yeah, and now with the plants going down, does Stick go in or does he just hang back? He's just looking to make sure he's in the best position for these fights here as he's about to go in. He goes for the peek and doesn't find it. Oddity clean it up with the diffuser down, pick up another round and get themselves that much closer to that grand final.
Yet another point advantage. So far, it's been Oddity who are leading the point advantage rather than Ferox. And, well, for Ferox, they need to make this next site count. They want to equalize it back again and maybe take over the control of the point advantage if they want to make things work for themselves. Otherwise, for Oddity, well, things are starting to look up really well. That was a bit of a shakier push, but all in all, leaving the post-plant scenario in a 1v2 was still very much favorable for them.
Yeah, and coming in here in round 8, they're bringing the double breach again. It's going to be Maverick here as well as Havana. So once again, they're just making sure that they can keep it redundant so that if they lose one, it doesn't matter if, because they still have at least another one alive. But Ferox as well, you look at their lineup, and they're certainly going for the running you down on time build right now. They've got the smoke, they've got the Goyo. Those two alone are going to buy you a whole lot of time. Then you've got Bandit to deny as much breach as possible, again wasting time. So Oddity were quick on their first round on attack. I wonder if they can be as quick on this round, because that is a lot to get through.
I mean, yeah, and with, like you said, having the double hard breach is definitely going to make things a whole lot easier, considering that you can have Maverick push the 90-degree hallway, whilst Hibana pushing the study room, and from there you can make a double breach. Beauty, though, of the current meta for the attackers as well is that Maverick, you can bring him even for just the gun and the frag grenade, because there's such a little amount of operators nowadays that have the frag grenades, or, well, have a good addition of frag grenades plus the utility, where Maverick is falling into that very category really well, considering that, well, Mims might be, sorry, the Buck will be losing the frag grenades after the next patch, but that is not what you want right now with Stick disconnecting from the game, and not too sure whether it will be a rehost, but as it stands, really, we will be continuing the match.
Yeah, yeah, until we get the pause or anything, or rehost coming out, then we're just going to have to wait and see, let it play out. Ferox, I mean, 4v5 right now, so losing Stick, oh, he may be able to reconnect and may be able to return, but I mean, at the moment, though, only 4 members.
Yeah, still only 4 members. Stick won't be able to get back into action, and that is from the get-go puts Ferox at a disadvantage in a man count, as Mims already even pushes it even further, as Deptry's now off the board as well. All up to Steffi, Vladdy, and Oda. So far, that trio has been seeing a bit of a performance, but Oda was so far the one that was pushing his team, as, well, Stick and Deptra on 4 kills, Steffi on 2, Vladdy on 3. After 8 rounds, that is not the kill count that you want to see from your team.
Yeah, oh wow, okay, actually Hills picking up Oda is a massive thing. We were just typing him up about how many kills he's got, which is a ton, by the way. Vladdy will get one back, but it's still a 4v2 right now. It's still going to be very hard to get in. The 3 smoke bombs is going to be quite useful, the gas bombs. So Vladdy can time them out while staying alive, then maybe. But you've got to watch out here, because right now Nasty's looking for that murder hole, whether that's, you know, knee height, toe height, or head height. But Sogs bites onto Vladdy as well, and with only Steffi remaining, it takes a blink of an eye to take him out for Hills as well. And then there we go, another round down and dusted for Oddity.
Yeah, 3 to 5 scoreline is definitely becoming a bit scarier for Ferox, as well, just Oddity just showcased how aggressive can they be on the offense, and that's what I've been actually talking about during the prep for Villa, that for the attack it requires you to be really, really aggressive, especially within the current meta, within the way how currently things are playing out throughout all of the operators. You need to be very much on point with your pushes, on point with your frags, and well, Oddity just very much that managed to showcase.
Yeah, and so it's a bit of a shame about the DC there for that round, because you got to wonder what it looks like when they have 5 people in that round. So who knows? But that said, though, it's still going to be dropped, and so with that, maybe they can still look good on defense, because we still haven't really seen. We've got like 1 real round of them on defense,
True,
but
yeah.
Ferox still have a few more rounds to prove themselves. That said, we're not too far away from getting a match point coming out from Oddity. However, guys, with the rehost, it does take a little bit of time. We're going to have to go to a short break, but once we return, we will continue with the remainder of Villa and the remainder of the series.
This is just clinical.
Kia ora Aotearoa, and welcome to the Wellington Paranormal COVID-19 Crisis Communication Command Centre /T-Room. Now that the COVID-19 alert status has moved to level 4, everyone should be at home isolating.
O'Leary,
Minogue, what are you doing? You're supposed to be here helping with this.
I'm home isolating. The problem is, I think my home is haunted.
You don't need to worry about ghosts. They can't infect you. They don't have bodies.
Well, that's not a risk I'm prepared to take, is it? You keep on doing your talky thing.
Anyway, home isolation is now compulsory and vital in stopping the spread of COVID-19. So blimmin' stay home. And if you do need to make contact with others when out getting supplies, keep a distance of at least 2 metres. The crew has.
O'Leary, can you hold me 2 metres away?
My arm's not that long.
Is it short?
It's not short, it's just not 2 metres long. I don't think your arm's 2 metres long either, to be fair.
Wow. So stay in, stay well, and keep your distance. Especially from ghosts.
And don't be the one to pass it on. I think that's 2 metres.
A bit more. A bit more.
So, you're a new recruit to Rainbow Six Siege. You're about to join one of the greatest gaming communities out there, but you may be wondering, what is Rainbow Six? Rainbow Six is a game where multiplayer is at the center of the experience, focusing on gameplay that is just the right mix of tactics, destruction, and unique heroes that we call our operators. This video will help you learn everything you need to know before your first steps in Rainbow Six Siege. Rainbow Six features 3 different team deathmatch online game modes: Hostage, Secure Area, and Bomb. At the beginning of each round, there will be time for preparation. Defenders will be able to set their defenses with a variety of tools and gadgets. Attackers can send drones to recon the map, locate threats, objectives, and prepare their attack. But whether attacking or defending, knowing which operator to choose will have a big impact on your game. Operators are truly the heroes of Rainbow Six Siege, choosing amongst dozens of highly trained operatives from all over the world. Each operator is specialized in either offense or defense, owning tools and gadgets unique to them. Some operator gadgets allow them to set traps, others excel at breaching. Mastering each skill and gadget will be key to your survival. But choosing your operator is only a fraction of the equation, as an effective team is more than the sum of its parts. In Rainbow Six, you are only as good as your team, so play with your friends or let the matchmaking pick teammates for you. While there's no respawning and no second chances, once your operator is down, you can still exploit security cameras or remaining player drones to help your team achieve victory. Because each environment brings its own challenges, working, planning, and executing together with your team will be key to your success. There are a variety of maps to choose from, with more being released all the time. No two are alike, so you'll need to adapt your strategy, tactics, and choose your operators accordingly. Some will force close encounters. As for others, mastering medium and long-range engagement will be key. In Rainbow Six Siege, you have to always mind your surroundings. Environmental destruction is core to the game experience. When defending, you'll have to take into consideration that windows, walls, and even ceilings can be breached. So reinforce your position and be ready for anything. Rainbow Six Siege is constantly evolving, with free updates, new maps, and operators. But it's more than a game. It's a thriving community with 25 million players and counting. And the community is more alive than ever. Rainbow Six is a game built for gamers with a competitive spirit who won't back down from a challenge. And now, it's your turn to play.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies for dropping you guys just like that, but we have returned and we've even fixed some of the issues. And so with that, we'll be jumping into the game pretty much as soon as it's ready. I believe the lobby is pretty much in the loading screen right now. So once it's up, we'll be back into it. Ferox and Oddity both fighting here in map number 3 on Villa to go into the last spot for the grand finals against Sinister. And Cthulhu, I mean, I think for the last map before the grand finals, I don't think we could have asked for anything better. It's been so close. The series as a whole has been great. Bank was a little weird, but map 1 was great.
Yeah,
I mean, what a treat.
Really, yeah, it's definitely a treat one way or another from both of those teams. There is some amazing siege that we've been seeing so far from both of the sides. And, I mean, so far it's been a bit of a trade of the maps. So we saw Oddity take their map pick, Ferox take their map pick with even more confidence, and right now on the Decider, things are starting to get heated up as well, considering that, well, we've been predicting overtimes through and through, but so far we've seen neither.
Yeah, and so just to catch everyone up as well, in the current map, we've got Oddity on the upswing. I believe, off the top of my head, I think the scoreline is 5-3 at the moment. Yep. Because, of course, the round that we had to go to the break for, we did have internet issues, and there was also some admin decisions on whether that round stands. So going to confirm that that one does stand, and so that the scoreline will remain as it is, and we'll be rehosting it right now. And I wasn't lying, we were actually in the loading screen for the game, but network issues are network issues, and players are having them. And so once that's all sorted, we'll be jumping into the game pretty much momentarily, guys. Like, trust me, I want to jump into the game as much as you guys, and here it is.
Here it is indeed, round number 9, the round where Oddity might just be able to take the match point for themselves, whereas for Ferox, they're currently in a 2-round deficit. So, not the worst case scenario, but also not the best case scenario for themselves, considering 2 of their defensive sites were pretty much completely flooded by Oddity with the sheer amount of aggression that they've displayed. So, Aviator in games, aka AVG, will be the choice for the 3rd round of defense of Ferox, and well, this time they are bringing in a slightly different roster for it.
Yeah, I mean, bringing out the smoke is something that they brought out a few times, but I think, yeah, bringing out Mute and Magnet as well is just going to, again, along with the Jaeger combo, is just going to be so annoying. It's going to drain so much time, and we talk about, Villa being a map that you can burn so much time against the attackers and run them down the clock. So Oddity do have to play aggressive. And now something I want to loop back to as well is the fact that I mentioned this before. We haven't seen Ferox on more than one real defense on this. It's hard to count last round. So what do they look like here? Is it going to be stronger than what we saw on round 7, 2 rounds ago on their first round of defense? I mean, possibly. Let's have a look, because I think we need a better sample of that. But Oddity are not giving them many leeway games, right? You've got to get sorted, and you've got to get it sorted within about now.
Yeah, and the main person, the main offender on the side of Oddity was actually surprisingly Hills. The guy was able to find some really good entry kills here for himself with that G8, and well, from there on, the rest of Oddity roster were able to snowball a fair few times. So right now for Ferox, their main objective is going to be get rid of that IQ, get rid of Hills, and ensure that those magnet devices, those ADSs, are going to be as clear as possible. As oh, that's already another piece of damage that's being dealt already to Stick.
Yeah, did he must have got his feet there with that explosion. Just kind of coincidental, but still great to get that one as well. I mean, you'll take it for sure. Droning out a little bit now to just get a little bit more info on the bomb side. If you can squeeze in and maybe see a defender and get that drone out for free, that's great, because you've still got 2 minutes. Sogs, though, has been knocked down to the floor.
Yeah, he was injured, put into a down but not out status, but he would still be able to bring this back for himself. Instead, it will be Nasi who will be, this time, actually finishing his job onto Stig, but the magnets are still there, and, well, the frag grenade to be flying in will be able, I believe, to take down that ballistic shield, which is not very favorable right now for Ferox, considering that that position at the very beginning of the hallway is also quite powerful to play off.
Yeah, and Ferox, you can see the health bars are dropping just a little bit. I mean, losing Stick was also kind of really annoying. If they lose Vladdy now, the roaming is gone. The fact that Sogs got out alive, that's also kind of incredible. Again, it's kind of annoying on Sophia. You'd rather someone else have the low health, but you'll take it. It's an alive operator, and that's all good. Now that clock is getting a little lower, now down to a minute, so Oddity can still take some time to think and take the next few steps, but it's going to be soon that they're going to move.
Yeah, already dealing quite some, making some openings from below and dealing quite some damage. That is depth draw off the board as well. Things are starting to not look really well for Ferox's defense. They can't seem to find any openings on their opponent, and, well, the roam of Vladdy is certainly not seeming to be working out as well. Oda to go down to the very same position as Mims opened it up is... come on, Ferox.
Mim's positioning down there was amazing. I mean, he found all the places. He poked his head out. He might even just find another kill here as well. Actually, it's Hills, just kidding, to pick that one up. But it's going to be Steffi who gets taken down with that, followed very quickly by Vladdy for a flawless round that now puts Oddity on match point. One more map win separates them from the grand final.
Only one round indeed, with even more ferocity. Oddity just ended up retaliating back on Ferox's even any kind of small attempt at finding some kills. Well, all thanks to Mims, he was able to sow just enough chaos for the rest of Ferox's roster to pretty much be distracted by all of the angles that were pretty much generated there by Oddity. And with a 3-round deficit, things are not looking all well. Only 1 round away for Oddity to make it their matchup and push themselves into the grand final.
And you know what, Oddity don't see any reason to change too much up. They're still bringing a similar set of operators coming in and basically following the same roles. Ferox have been changing up here and there. I think the big one is the Doc that occasionally pops up for Stick. A lot of firepower on that guy and can definitely keep you alive later on in the match, but Ferox have to get to that point for Doc to really start becoming like really efficient, right? Because it doesn't matter about his heal ability if you have no one to heal.
Yeah, Doc needs to be either really aggressive on his anchor position and make sure to take those firefights in a really confident manner, or he needs to play very much on a backline and just try to keep his teammates up and running, even through some of the tougher times. Say, for example, one of the defenders got down, but not finished off. Rather than picking up the usual way, you use the stim to get him back up to 75 HP straight away. So some of those smaller things, yes, they are very niche, especially within the way how so far around's been unfolding for us. It's certainly not the primary directive for Doc. It's rather just going to be utilizing that ACOG for some long-range engagements and trying to outgun some of the attackers here.
Yeah, now we gotta watch all the drones here as they go in and get all the information they can, perhaps for the final time this week for Oddity. looking around. We know that just around the corner there were a few more defenders, and that drone would have loved to spot some of them. Maybe you could hear them, but, you know, we're not too sure. But for now, nothing is really seen. Nothing is really shot at. We're getting closer and closer to those sites, but that speed and aggression from Oddity, we're not quite seeing it in this round. But it could kick off at any moment.
Well, certainly can. Mims taking a heap of damage from that pre-fire, really whilst Deptra, whilst Deptra still is on full 100 health. So right now this is a decent beginning, but taking out Mims would have been a much better turnout there for Ferox. But alas, minute and 37 seconds to go, and well, already doesn't look like they are planning to really pause anytime soon.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Yeah, one C4 remains here for Ferox. I say remains, but they started with one, so it's going to be all on Oda. And, you know, if you're going to leave a very important piece of utility to someone, Oda is probably a pretty good guy for it. Has had a fantastic round, even though his team hasn't been getting the wins in the rounds, but there it is. We're still down to a minute now, and no one has really died. Mims is the only real casualty, but he's still technically alive with just a little bit of health. And now you got to stay, Oddity, do you actually have time to go in and make your push? It's not like you're going against Goyo and Smoke, so they're not going to waste a whole lot of time, but you got to go for a 5v fight at any moment. 5v4.
And with Ang already opening things up onto Deptra again, things are not going to be looking all really favorable, considering that, well, yes, health-wise, Ferox is still looking all nice and pretty as Vladdy does manage to find the kill onto Sogs on the flank. But there's also flank from Hills coming out, and I don't think Ferox are really expecting that. And if they won't, well, they're going to be in for a whole lot of pain as well. There's the spot onto IQ, so the element of surprise is gone. Oda to find the kills, but oh no, it's the angle grip bandit of G8 on Hills. As the control of the Astro is now in full control. There's the frag grenades coming out from the master bedroom, and right now Mims, oh no, frags his own teammate. Oda finds a shot, and well, Ferox will be able to find themselves yet another round to keep themselves going in this matchup.
Yeah, and just in the final 20 seconds of that round, I mean, it just suddenly got so much easier for Ferox. You know, when someone else gets the kill for you, does your job for you, you'll be okay with that. So, I mean, it keeps them alive, it keeps them in the round, and it keeps them in the tournament. So they'll take it for sure, but they've still got to win at least another 2 rounds just to go to overtime. And Oddity have been having a banger of a match so far. So apart from some weird shenanigans at the end there, it still could have been close. And who knows what it looks like if they're just a little bit ahead. Maybe they get those kills. Maybe they're the ones that get the entry frag this time. It just takes 1 round.
It just takes 1 round, indeed, yeah. But also, this is also that mentality that can be really dangerous for some of the teams. They get into thinking, hey, we just need 1 more round, let's push it. Like, they start essentially having that tunnel vision for themselves. And this is also a very dangerous position to find yourself in as a team, because you start making those small mistakes, which Ferox can very well emphasize on. And, well, they have been able to show that throughout the whole of the loser bracket against multiple of the teams. So here on this very map on Villa at the loser bracket finals, this is their proving ground. This is where Ferox needs to prove that they can find those poke holes in Oddity's performance and play it out. Whereas for Oddity, they've already been able to demolish really, really well the overall performance of Ferox. They just need to keep at it and keep at the aggression and being able to find those entry kills early into the round.
Yeah, so important thing here coming into it, like you said, those entry frags, so you got to keep an eye out for it. I mean, these drones are actually great. They've got plenty of information around already inside, so they're not going to just walk into anyone, at least I hope not right away. So you can see they have already made it inside. They can clear some of these rooms. They can even take the top of the stairs, and so their positions are looking pretty good. And it's even been pretty quick, so they're setting themselves up for a good round here.
I mean, you compare the way how Ferox entered the building and how Oddity entered the building. They Oddity are not wasting a single moment. They're already taking control of the 90-degree hallway, and it's not even been, well, just about hit 45 minutes. Sorry, 45 seconds.
45 minutes. Holy crap! What a long round.
Would have been that would have been one hell of a round, honestly, to play on. But either way, what is interesting to me is that there are reinforcements on the top floor in the trophy and statue, actually. But no presence, no actual presence of the operators of Oddity. Sorry, of Ferox.
Yeah, so definitely trying to play some mind games, and Oda plays mind games, except he uses bullets and Hills uses his mind. One of them is a little bit better. And now, again, it looks like Ferox are primed to sit back, defend, just anchor up. I mean, you've got still half the round to go. Most of your utility, 3 gas bombs still ready to go whenever you need them. So Vladdy needs to stay alive, I think, is probably the most important thing going into the next minute.
Yeah, there's the grenade flying in that will only slightly tickle Deptra, as I believe Mims was
I think he tried to get it in the hole.
Yeah, I think he was, and while it didn't really line up, it did damage the Valkyrie player, and already 2 of the C4s baited out with no avail, really, as right now it's all up to Oda to land his C4 if he wants to get some early cheeky frags before the main push on the site happens. But as it stands, really, Oddity seeming to be dialing down on their aggression almost.
Oh, Oddity are actually opening up a lot of the floor here. They've got to be careful with how they're doing that. One random shot through the floor could shut down their attack completely, but on the flip side, of course, they can find the frags and they can open their way up into the attack. Just like that, they find Stick, not through the floor, but on the stairs, and that's good enough for me. Sogs still staying alive is also very important too. Still, though, 2 gas bombs remain, and you've got 20 seconds to go. And so Oddity have got to start rushing in now. They might have to hold their breath as they rush in, though. Mims getting a frag kill there is going to be a great way to continue things, but Oda with the C4, Deptra with the kill, and with all of that said and dusted, Ferox still managed to pick it up as Deptra picks up the last kill there.
Only 1 round away from pushing this into overtime. Ladies and gentlemen, this is probably as close as it's going to get one more time. One more time for the boys here at Oddity and Ferox. One more time for the loser bracket finals here. The decider, potentially this is the round which will decide whether we will be seeing Oddity straight away claim the win 7-5 like they did in map number 1, or whether we will be seeing a very spicy overtime, which could most definitely, well, which could potentially go down to the last second of 15th round like it did before in the first matchup between Ferox and Oddity.
Yeah, wouldn't it be fitting, because it was also the first map they played, so we get a complete reverse, and it would be fantastic. But we've also got to remember, Oddity were the team that won it in overtime, so if you want to flip the script, then it's got to be Ferox that take it out in overtime. But we have to get to overtime first, because like you said, Oddity are 1 map away, one round away from just picking up that 7-5 win. That would be a great way to kick things off. Their, you know, their attacks have been okay so far. It has come down a little bit to the wire, but all things said and considered, the Ferox still looked a little more powerful than Oddity in those rounds, in the last 2 rounds. It didn't look like it was one of those rounds where it could go either way.
True, and actually a fun statistic here will be also if actually no, if the first half would have been a 3 points first to Oddity and then 3 points to Ferox, and if this round is going to be won by Ferox, it would be an identical reflection of how the scorelines went in the first half as well, which a whole lot of ifs, but still would have been funny.
It's all reflected. That's how we run the storylines here. But it's a little slower here on round 12. Oddity are taking a few moments to get inside, but they're approaching from all the different angles, and it looks like they're probably going to choose this entryway to go in. They haven't seen enough defenders really to go in completely blind at the moment, so they're just going to start mowing down the doors. But there's one. Finds Steffi. That's going to set them up nicely to get this win.
Yeah, Deptra going down to Mims once again is not a good beginning here for Oddity's play. That roam was very much essential to keep intact up above the site, as right now we already saw how powerful Mims was with that vertical play, but this time in a 5v3, things are definitely not looking all swell here for Ferox.
All right, Cthulhu, no C4. One impact grenade over on Stick. They've just got some cameras, and they've already put down the castle wall, so we get to go back down to a good old 5v3, a gunfight, and so it is going to be a very big ask for Ferox to win this one, and essentially they're just going to have to pray that their anchors are going to have the sightlines they need, and already walk into them and don't drone properly.
With so much utility as well on the attacking side. I mean, you have 2 concussion grenades, 3 flashbangs, 2 frag grenades, 2 smoke grenades as well, against pretty much nothing from Ferox.
He sees him.
Looking all well. He does see him, but Oda will be instead finished off here by Hills, and well, all up to Stick and Vladdy. My god, this is...
And they might be doing it. Oddity might have just done it here with only 2 left, like you mentioned. Everything in the toolbox for Oddity to go in. 45 seconds to go. It's not the most time, but when it's a 5v2, it should do. And so you've got to imagine they've got to start making their move very, very shortly. Vladdy standing on the B bomb site. Stick somewhere on his lonesome as well. The spots are going out. They know where some of Oddity are. They've taken out Hills. That's a start. That's a start, and 22 seconds to go. The plant is now going down. He's got to win this fight. He's the only man alive. Stick is all that stands between Oddity and the grand final, and it's not going to be enough as Oddity take it out and move on to the grand final against Sinister in 2-1 fashion.
2-1 fashion, and oh, such a nail-biter of a game. 7-5, 7-2, and then again 7-5 is what we saw here between these 2 teams, and what a great show both of those squads have put up for us.
Yeah, wow, Oddity, I mean, we thought this one was going to be a very close series. I mean, we thought we were proven right in map 1. Then we thought we were proven wrong in map 2. And then we go back to map 3 to round things out, and it is a great round. We didn't get the overtime, but Oddity put on a great show. But that said, a lot of respect to Ferox for putting on their performance today. It's not easy to go through the losers bracket as far as they did, and then to face someone like Oddity, who's already 2-0'd them, and then still put up such a big fight. So big respect to them for making it this far, but Oddity in the end are going to be the ones that move on to the grand final. And with that, we get a bit of a complete bracket. So we can actually take a look and see the journeys of all the teams throughout the season, all leading up to that grand final.
Yeah, I mean, Ferox probably had one of the more flashier performances here through and through. I mean, starting off with the game against Skyfire, then playing against Oddity, and then dropping down to the loser bracket where they managed to take out not just nobodies. It was PC419 and Bizarre, and then to face against their big opponents, aka Oddity, tonight. Whereas for Oddity, it was a pretty interesting turnout overall, considering that Bands Gaming, they were able to demolish them pretty quickly. Against Ferox, it was 2 overtimes in their first matchup, and then Team Sinister, well, that was quite a spanking that was dished out for them. So honestly, I'm quite excited now. After we saw what Oddity can do and how they can play it out, I'm excited how well are they going to perform against Team Sinister here.
Well, that's the thing, right, Cthulhu, because Sinister have looked like this S-tier team that's just a league above every other team in the league at the moment. It's been very hard for teams to really take it to them. And now Oddity are going to have that chance. Last time we saw Oddity against Team Sinister, like you said, they got smacked down. And so now that Sinister are going up against Oddity in the grand final, things change a little bit. It's the only match of the night. It's now going to be a best of 5 instead of a best of 3, so a longer series. You have more opportunity to prove yourself, and then obviously the week to improve and practice the scrim to come up to it. So Oddity, if you just look at the results so far, they've got a big uphill battle in that grand final. But that said, after tonight's performance, I feel like they can come back from anything. I mean, after Bank, coming back from that's great.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows that their moral fortitude is definitely out there, and they can definitely perform quite well under pressure. It's just the question is how well can they perform in a quick succession under pressure? Because whilst, yes, it was a 7-5 victory here against Ferox, some of those rounds were really of a tumble around for them, as just they weren't able to close out some of the gunfights, and some of the aggressive pushes were just a little bit sloppily performed. So there's still a few question marks left for me, at least as a caster and an observer for all of those games, but they definitely have some potential to take on Sinister here.
Yeah, it will certainly be an underdog battle, but that is it, guys. Constantine, that was our second last match, and we've got our last one next week. So everyone that's watching at home, make sure you tune in for the next episode, because we've got a banger of a grand final on. It's Team Sinister, who are looking undefeatable right now, against Oddity, who are coming all the way, not quite all the way through the losers bracket, but at least one match through the losers bracket to go for that rematch next week. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we'll wrap the show up here and now, but I expect you to be there on the grand final, because it is gonna be awesome.
It won't be the same.